They really did it to my man's Joshua again. Glimmer, glimmer, glamour, glamour. Yeah, he do be wearing it better than Estelle, though. It's almost frightening how good that looks. Isn't it awesome? Something awoke inside of Estelle that day. Good day, good people. Another fine day in the year of the Radiance. Toon Dave, Bravo, Dave, Anomaly, and Omakar's Turner Boy. And United States of going back to more of the... Check this out. Legends of Heroes, we're getting close to the end, to be completely honest, and I'm excited to see how it all plays out. But, to get there, we have to go to your comments real quick. Oh, that's a neat little, I learned something about YouTube Studio today. They have been improving the app, to be completely fair. It's been getting better over, like, the course of this past year, because it used to just really suck. Now it only kind of sucks. Here, Anthony Sub. I wish the Nile versus a bunch of papers match was real, maybe once we finish the series. Didn't think we were going to see Dorothy that early in the episode. And then, oh wow, we really are fighting our Bracer friends, and we took it too. Annalise, she deserved it. She didn't really, she kind of deserved it. Anyway. Yeah, the Intelligence Division is gonna be our final opponents. That's not a surprise. Twernt nothing, Estelle. I don't think that's a word. Twernt? It's not. Oh, heck yeah, Mary Maybell, and there she is. Love her to bitch. She's the best. Acknowledge her for real. We're pretty close to the end. WoW doesn't really feel like it. And I guess it shouldn't really feel like it, because this is technically still just the first chapter when you think about it. Jessica, who gives us a glancing at the end of the video. I see you went to the castle, I miscalculated. I was gonna say, I feel like we did a good chunk of stuff. And I really wanted to see Mary Maybell. Yeah, a chance to impede Carno, force her to stop casting and you didn't. Yeah, you see, sometimes I forget about certain mechanics in this game, to be completely honest. Imagine if Olivier is somehow a royal, a member of the Airborne royal family, entered Liberal incognito, got arrested within the month. Oh, yeah. Maybe. He's gotta be an important figure in Erebonia, right? At this point, he just can't be like nobody. I almost choked on my dinner when you accidentally entered the North Block, lmao. Why you gotta be so rude? There was some optional dialogue that you didn't get from Sister Ellen. She was standing in front of the entrance to the castle, and the Brights asked what she was doing there, and she said she had gotten lost while on an errand, but she was clearly lying. Of course, Julia would hover the castle, but I can't imagine how worried she's been. That bench. That specific bench, you aren't ready. It's probably fine. You know, you keep saying that we're not ready for any of this. It's probably fine. Unless, like, Cassius dies on that bench. It's probably not that bad. Ollie can inflict confuse because he has the confused courts, which I completely keep forgetting about. I need more of those. Good old Anton. Falcom loves him. I think someone else also experienced sudden unexplained lightheadedness earlier in the game. There were 4 people present, or wait, were there 5? I can't remember. So you're doing like a play on things. It has happened before. I feel like it was Joshua both times. You know, it's the big leaves when they play Silver Will. Body split. Just like he used in that fight against Agate. In his rematch, he's immune to all status ailments except for stat down. Hate that. Special Ice Cream restores 25 CP, so I'd recommend buying a bunch of them, because there are 2 boss fights directly before the Lawrence fight, and you will want to start that battle with full CP. Well, Special Ice Cream. How does one make that? Well, I suppose I should eat it first if we have not eaten it. Let me see. Yeah, there it is. Cool. Okay, now what's our recipe for that? Especial ice cream. We need some eggs, fresh milk, Firefly fungus. That sounds like the Firefly Funhouse, which is an exceptional piece of WWE media. between John Cena and the Fiend Bray Wyatt / Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt. One of my favorite quote-unquote matches. I'll just say special viewing things, regardless. There's probably only going to be 2, maybe 3 more episodes. I imagine that you'll end next episode after the mandatory Northern Sewer, hopefully. If not, also, please read Carnelia now. It's a perfect opportunity. That is what we were going to do to start. At the castle, talk to the... And then there's just a good chunk of things that we'll have to do. If you go through the final sewers and choose to go on standby, remove any gladiator accessories and any cast 2, EP2, or cut 3 things. Don't leave this team completely unprotected, since they do have a fight against some special ops guys. Oh, interesting. Huh. Okay, well, regardless. Oh, you know, I guess we haven't been to the villa yet. Regardless, we got plenty of things to do. I will keep that up, but lastly, we do have a message. One more comment from Goda. Considering we've had chairs, tables, hammers, a complete stack of papers doesn't seem that out there. Who knows? It may happen. Thanks for the comments. Let me keep Jessica's up here because we'll be going to the castle very soon. I guess right now, actually. Now that I think about it. I feel like... Oh, no, we're going to read Carnelia first. How long are these? I think there were a couple pages, right? Yeah, 10 pages. Pretty much 10 pages a piece. So we're going to do a good chunk of reading this. Oh my gosh, goodness gracious. We should have read these as the series went on. My gosh. Oh. Well, I got the achievement for reading them all. Definitely didn't. Awesome. Great. I think I have read most of these. I might not have read 8. I read 8. I have just finished reading all of the Carnelia, and boy did it take a minute. It took a minute. It was a long read, and we had a little bit of reaction time to it too. If you want to watch the whole thing, just continue onward. But if you don't, and you want to get to the gameplay of this episode, it is at maybe this timestamp, or it's ever so delightfully bookmarked with the timestamps, like right here on YouTube. So, check it out. Well, let's start at the get-go. The Imperial Chronicle. I stood there, upright in my revolving door, scuffing the heels of my boots against the ground. Pulling lightly on the collar of my trench coat, I dropped my chin and gazed at my partial reflection in the curved glass. Aside from my short, cropped hair, I wore a modest double-breasted leather raincoat and a pair of special order steel-reinforced boots, both of which, at first glance, appeared to be the most common of common apparel. Yet, they were in fact much more than the naked eye can detect. My ordinary average appearance, it was just as much of importance today, rather, as it had been on any other day in its past times. Not far off, the sound of footfalls echoed rhythmically like the beat of a pendulum, swinging back and forth as the throngs of those coming and going moved quickly through the cobblestone avenue, enveloped and tinged silver by the silver mist. I'm so sorry, by the morning mist, rather. At times, the calling voice, of a street peddler disrupted the steady flow, but as soon as the hawking cry faded away, it would resume its course. Each morning that I found myself setting foot in the Imperial capital, I also found my surroundings to be unchanged and stained by the same somber tone of gray. Snatching up a magazine from the underarm of a street vendor, I tossed a Fumira into the left hand poised expectantly behind his back. The Imperial Chronicle. The magazine I read so often that even ink bleeds were familiar. Roughly flipping its cover open, I scanned the headlines along the top of the monochrome pages. Then suddenly, my breath got caught in my throat. At the very bottom of the local news page, I found those letters, the sequence of characters that I had not heard nor seen since the time of my life-changing incident. My eyes instantly gravitated to the spot. For a time, remained fixated. Ein Cellmate. Okay. The very meaning of those letters became lost to my senses as I stood motionless, my gaze fixed on the same line of text until it all seemed to coalesce into a single black blotch of ink. After a few seconds, blank comprehension, my vision settled and I retched my eyes to the beginning of the article. As I read, my memory verged on a single point in my past and then slowly it started to run in reverse, heading for that fateful event 3 years prior when this name was first introduced to me. It was on an afternoon all those years ago, on a day unlike this one, where the capital was overshadowed by its typical gloomy aura. I was a little younger than now, a 22-year-old boy who stood silently in front of the boutique door, double-checking his appearance before lightly treading over to the Mitch's Imperial Factory. It was on this day, I see clearly, that it had been arranged for me to receive a new job from Mitch, the shop owner himself. Although he was a drab middle-aged man, I, being the ornament enthusiast I was, found myself as one of his few regular customers. I headed down a dank alleyway after, passing through a particularly rotted wooden gate. I could see the soft glow of the flickering orbital light just outside of the entrance of the factory, whose structure was halfway below street level. I first began receiving jobs from Mitch about the time when dissension began to occur in society over the 100 Days War. Okay. It was during this period the relationships between Liberal and the Liberal Kingdom, rather than the Empire, were at their worst, and the importance or the importation of ornaments had become almost non-existent. Conspiring with the underground elements and planning a smuggling operation, Mitch made me out to be his accomplice in crime. For the job for which I had been received by his hand, was none other than that of a carrier. Being nothing more than a commoner in my teens at the time I met him, and a juvie devoid of any connections in life besides, I naturally jumped at the opportunity without a moment's hesitation. Yet, even after relations with Liberal had returned to some degree of normalcy, I realized I was in no mood to give up my specialty, which focused mainly on the delivery of stolen goods. The reason being, there was no job out there which could bring the kind of mirror that this one did. With an unrefined and inconspicuous appearance I had countless times before. Okay, so now I'm getting where we're getting the inconspicuous appearance before. Hidden items of various sorts in my hat and trousers made my way hither and thither between the borders of these neighboring nations, and though to my delight my wallet had become increasingly laden with a bounty of monetary rewards, I had routinely changed my alias as a precautionary measure, so much in fact rather that these false names had built up into quite the list over time. I had been known as Phil, the Frivolous, Rooney the Trickster, even Chris the Coward. Have we heard Chris recently? And I'm not talking about in Mundavy's Fire Emblem Adventures. I feel like we've heard Chris in this game. However, Mitch always called me by one name, Toby, the identity I had used for my initial job, and the one that I liked above all the others. Toby. And this is The Train Station, Part 2. Hello there, Toby. You've come at just the right time. Greeting me with those words, Mitch shuffled lightly in his seat behind the counter. The baked confection he had been eating was we're actually getting dialogue now, ever so carefully placed upon his lap to prevent him from falling onto the floor. He smacked both of the powdered sugar hands with a clap. A cloud of white particles puffed in the air. The smell of sweet spices and baked apple pervaded the dimly lit shop. We had an item dropped off no more than a few minutes ago, he continued. Turning in his seat, Mitch reached back and snatched up something wrapped in old magazine paper off the shelf, tossing it to me. Knowing full well I couldn't get any sort of answer, I asked anyway, what do we have this time? Laying out my railway and airship tickets, Mitch ignored my question and said, make sure this gets to the same place as always. In a slow drawl he added, it would be best to in your best interest, rather, to keep your involvement to a minimum by leaving business side of things to me and focusing solely on getting the job done, Toby. He leaned back in his chair and let out a deep sigh. The balls of his fingers kneading the bags under his eyes, and once again his large hand extended downward towards the unattended cake resting along his leg. Before the sweet treat could reach his watering mouth, I had already made my way outside of the door of his tiny shop. As I walked The waste paper bundled package bounced around inside the folds of my bag. By the feel of the shape and its weight, as it beat steadily against my side, I concluded that the object in my possession was just more swag. Haha. It is swagging and surfing in his bag. It didn't make me nervous not to know what it was that I was carrying, for I had done this type of job many times before, and no matter what kind of trouble I found myself wrapped in, I always had somehow managed to come out unscathed. In truth, my experience on the job had made me tough, and I had become well versed in the art of orbital magic. So, it was that when I laid my eyes upon the rough-looking trio at the station, I felt no knots of uneasiness in the pit of my stomach then was necessary for someone of my abilities. The platform for the train bound to Liberl was a bustle with passengers awaiting its eventual arrival. Seeing that the benches there were so crammed full of people that they could have been very well been a tin of packed sardines, I resigned myself to standing near the entrance as I patiently waited for the train to come in. Twisting my body in order to move the bag to my other shoulder, I noticed the figures of two men, heads bent together and conversing in an inaudible tone. They stood just beyond the ticket gate, right about where the horse head of the Imperial emblem laid embedded in the ground in a grand mosaic of tiles. After a short interim, another man approached and joined the conversation. From my perspective, this is one ragtag group I most certainly couldn't have given a passing grade based on the looks. All three of them were extremely well built rather, and sported the same haircut. Huey, Dewey, and Louie, but buff. Don't tell that to Wednesday, baby. To put it mildly, they stuck out in a crowd like a bunch of sore thumbs. Making sure to avoid eye contact with them as they glanced in my direction, I slung my bag over my shoulder, ever so calmly reached my hand into my pockets and ran the tips of my fingers across the surface of my orbment. A woman's voice reverberated within the walls of the station, notifying passengers that the train had arrived. The low rumble of an orbital engine could be felt in the distance, and after a few moments, a large vehicle was seen rolling up on the shoulder. I muttered to myself, all is well, but the sound of my voice was drowned out by the din of massive machines. Brakes screeched, and a flash of black light reflected off of the surface of the iron beast as it came sliding into the rails. Or across the rails, rather. The immense vibration of the air emanating from the moving locomotive at its epicenter let me know that the orbital engine had been put into full reverse in order to decelerate and bring the train to a grinding halt. While being shoved to and fro by the waves of impatient travelers flooding out of a waiting area, I swept towards one door of a passenger car. As we passed by the conductor, I caught a glimpse of the ticket gate, rather. The men who were once there are now gone, and the only thing that remained was the profile of the horse, made of glossy tiles, glaring back at me in a shade of deep crimson. Okay. Cool. So we know this is a smuggler, representative of the Suptian Church. The train barreled on, almost flying through the thick, so we're on the train now, the thick veil of fog. Droplets of water splattered against the glass window, extending out like transparent veins, and continued to wriggle back and forth under the pressure of the swiftly passing wind. Placing the temple of my head against the glass, I started to stared blankly, there we go, down at the tickets in my hand and rubbed the two of them together. You have two tickets? Between my fingers. I would be traveling by train to the border city far south of the Imperial Cousin, and then to reach Liberl Kingdom I would have to transfer to an airship. Both of my tickets were first class. Yo, this is bad. Drinking champagne out of drinking orange juice out of a champagne glass? Is this what the people in Liberl live like? This might be alright, but not the highest end seats available. The passenger car was nearly full, or rather at full capacity, but for some peculiar reason, nobody had seated themselves in the space next to mine. Interesting. As I mused about the empty seat, it occurred to me that Mitch may have purchased the spot ahead of time, leaving it empty on purpose, or vacant on purpose. There was no doubt in my mind that he was being paid handsomely to make sure this job was done and done well. Will you be traveling to the Liberl Kingdom, sir? Right around the time my trip on the rails had passed its halfway mark, I was met with a sudden question. And set up with a start. My eyes searched for the one who asked it there. Standing in the aisle, a single woman, ayo, with a radiant complexion, ayo, beaming down at me, ayo, is she the sun? That she wore? A coat with overlapping buckles secured slightly above her breast and appeared to be in her mid-30s. Gingerly bending her knees and pointing her finger at the seat beside me, she asked, "Do you mind?" With a tilt of her head, she indicated that the rear of the passenger cars were swirling with smoke saturated the air, softly muttered, "The smell from the tobacco smoke is just dreadful." Wordlessly, I nodded and dragged my bag from its place on the floor, moving it over by the window to the opposite of my feet. The woman expressed her thanks and delicately sat herself in the seat next to mine. For being a perfect stranger, she talked on endlessly, and I appropriately reciprocated the conversation by saying that I was on my way to the Liberal Kingdom on business as an ornament specialist. Her story was that she was on a mission of mercy for the church and had an errand to run, or rather fulfill, in the border city. Just so you know, people often refer to me as sister. As she went on, of course, it's just a nickname. She recrossed her black leather-clad legs, and let out a sort of suppressed titter from the back of her throat as she made mention of this. Sister Carnelia was her nickname. They said the chapter of the book. We continued on in this fashion, subjecting ourselves to a variety of idle banter. As time drew on, the sun overhead began to dip in its arc, crossing the celestial meridian and descending into the west. Someone had a time writing this. Someone had a great time. Each time the moving train cleared a grove of trees, the entire vehicle, passenger cars and all, was bathed in a warm apricot hue, flooding into the cabins, creating a majestic spectacle. I gaped at the coruscating effect, and in doing so, locked eyes with Sister Carnelia at the right moment. The brilliance of the sinking western light seeped onto her rich brown irises, causing them to give off an exquisite rubescent sparkle. The glimmer and the glimpse made me wonder if the origin of her nickname was somehow related to the color of her eyes, being likened onto the luster of a polished carnelian stone. The train gradually began to decelerate, and Sister Carnelia returned to her original seat in order to collect her bags. As a matter of habit, I checked my bag and the ornament, found both the junk paper covered package and the magical device fastened into my child trouser's inner pocket by a series of stitches, exactly where and how I'd left it. A woman's voice came over the intercom, and said the train would be arriving on schedule and that rainy weather was to be expected at our destination. At the conclusion of the announcements, a number of disappointed sighs could be heard from the rows along the seats. Raindrops pitter-pattered against the windows outside as the looming silhouette of overcast came into the city. The station signal lamp emitted an angular light, which was scattered with a refractive effect by the falling water droplets. Then came a spine-chilling metallic sound, followed by the jolt of horrible engines reversing thrust as the locomotive at the front of the train lurched to a halt. Over the loudspeaker, another announcement came, asking passengers to ensure that they did not leave their baggage behind. And with that, several people stood up, crowded into the aisles, watching as a station worker in uniform waved them all with a small flag amidst the falling rain. As I picked up my bag and rose to my feet, I crossed paths with Sister Carnelia as I attempted to step inside the aisle. But when she tried to step inside and allow me to pass, she suddenly tripped and fell forward, grabbing onto my shoulder for support. She picked herself up and, with an embarrassed smile, let me by. I gave her a bow, in line with the general etiquette of practices, and headed for the exit ahead of her. Following my lead, Sister Carnelia shuffled along closely behind me, and so close in fact, that it felt like she would step on my heels. Something about it just didn't feel right. Instinctively sliding my hand into my pocket, I searched for my ornament, but the brass feeling I had grown accustomed to was nowhere to be felt, and in an instant I felt my arm being twisted behind my back by someone or something with incredible strength, the sleek sound of a blade being unsheathed, and then a warning prick. Oh no, wait! Gosh darn it! A warning prick of the tip at my back indicated the seriousness of the situation. I have what you're looking for, Toby, whispered Sister Carnelia in an almost inaudible tone, her lips barely moving just behind my ear. Hey, yo, Carnelia. Let's not try anything either, shall we? I hate to see your afternoon be spoiled any more than it's going to be. And to show that she meant business, Sister Carnelia slightly altered the angle of my grip of my wrist, causing an explosion of agony that sent sparks flashing behind my eyes. Carnelia? Okay, I didn't know Carnelia was... Hey, okay, chapter 4. Human fodder. Oh, that's bad. Sister Carnelia spoke to me in a tender tone as she sent a wave of immense pain rushing through my entire right hand. We should have read this as we went on. We should have read this, like, started with chapter 1 when we got chapter 1 and just kept on going, because I could have been like, oh, I can't wait until the next chapter of Carnelia. Sister Carnelia spoke to me in a tender tone as she sent a wave of immense pain rushing through my whole right hand. I won't have any trouble with you now, will I, Toby? She asked. Far from eyes just brimming with tears, I nodded my head in consent with the salty streams of water that ran down my face. Satisfied with my answer, she loosened her grip, and I felt the pain vanish as if it had all been some sort of illusion. With a wry smile, she further added, "Don't get me wrong, Toby. I've been sent here to protect you by the goddess herself." By the goddess herself? This is what she said while instructing me to keep my eyes closed and focus on what lied beyond the window glass. Yet there was something about the way she pronounced the last syllable of my name that really rubbed me the wrong way. Toby. Little by little, lines of passengers slowly began to flow out of the car. Prodded by Sister Carnelia, I inched forward while keeping my gaze on the platform through the passenger car window. Down the stairs which led to the front ticket gate were the figures of the men from earlier this morning. The 3 thug-like passengers who had been loitering near the large horse emblem. Muffled laughs echoed from her voice. She too noticed them. Wasn't this a warm reception party you've got going on? Cocking my head, I quietly pleaded, "Give me back my ornament." Sister Carnelia said nothing. Members of the crew bid us farewell as we stepped through the exit to disembark on the train onto the lead-colored platform below. Angrily, I thought to myself, damn it, what's going on with these fools? Can't they see what's going on? I shut my eyes halfway to protect them from the drizzle whipping against my face, and I unhurriedly descended the wet stairs. Half a pace at a time, Sister Carnelia moved alongside me, or rather behind me, at precisely the same length of stride. Below, the group of thugs waited expectantly at the bottom of the stairs. Waited for me, no doubt. Contemplating the rate at which I was going, I ultimately believed it was only a matter of time before I would be handed over to the enigmatic group. I caught sight of their soured faces as the distance between us grew smaller, and felt that the heat of my left hand tightly gripped my bag in intensity until my palm began to sweat profusely. Hitting the midway point, Sister Carnelia suddenly whispered, "Keep your eyes on the ground, Toby." I did as I was told, not because she was threatening me, but because if I did what I was told, maybe... anyway, I did as I was told and cast my gaze down upon the tips of my boots, stained to a darker shade of rainwater. Then, right at the moment I let out my breath, I felt a deep sense of pressure just below my shoulder blades as I was forcefully shoved forwards. Droplets flew from my saturated fingers, and my world turned upside down as I tumbled down the stairs and slammed back first into the group of hoodlums. With a muffled crunch, I felt the painful sensation of my ribs crumple under the weight of my body, then return to normal from their severe compressed state. 2 of these seemingly military men who were hit as I toppled down the stairs like an avalanche unleashed on a pair of young saplings absorbed the transfer of force and were thrown into a large puddle collecting on the ground nearby. Shrieks erupted from the startled passengers, more shrill than the high-pitched voices of the railway brakes from a decelerating locomotive. As my world spun wildly about me, I lay there, the chill of the tiles seeping into my back. With a concerted effort, I rolled my eyes to the left, where my arm remained in an outstretched state. By some act of the goddess, I managed to keep my tight 5-finger grip on the bag I had been carrying. In an effort to get up, I slid into a prostrate position, keeping my chin in contact with the ground, making a low visual sweep of the vicinity as if my life depended on it. I noticed the military-like physiques of the men had vanished from my view. The only figure I saw standing above me on the platform now was dun-dun-dun! That of Sister Carnelia, and on her shoulder, as if she were merely hefting a sack of grain, was one of the men. Sister Carnelia. Turning in the direction where the train sat motionless, she lobbed the unfortunate man. Lobbed him? Yeet. Kobe? Down onto an empty rail on the tracks below. By this time, I had risen to one knee while keeping the other planted firmly on the ground in a half-standing position. The world in front of me was still swaying, undulating in my wavering eyesight. My head slowly rocked back and forth with it as the double vision of Sister Carnelia's boots approached me. Then, with a strong grip, she tugged on my hand for some reason or another. When she did this, I failed to notice the unpleasant feeling that was her hand wrapped tightly around mine. Let's go, Toby. It's Toby. Get it right. She instructed me in an authoritative voice. Yes, ma'am. Nearly dragging me, she pulled me onto my feet. Before long, we were hightailing it out of here. The onlookers made quite the commotion as they moved hastily out of the way, determined to attempt to not be caught in the middle of our flight path. The bag, left in my hand, had swung helplessly, knocking against my thigh. After clearing the ticket gate, Sister Carnelia finally let go of my hand, but a sickening, slippery sensation came with it. Looking over at her, I realized that the stomach-churning, slimy feeling on my hand had come from the bright red blood which stained hers. I peered back over my shoulder in the direction of the platform as I continued to run, but the figures of those men who had been waiting for me at the station were nowhere to be found. Oh my gosh, Sister Carnelia! What is she? I guess we're gonna find out. Carnelia, I am intrigued. Emissary of the Sabbath. I sat staring at a partially melted lump of butter on a stack of cold pancakes. Alright, well, so Sister Carnelia is cooking us pancakes. If you don't mind, I would like everyone to hold your ones up for Sister Carnelia. Yeah. I'm gonna make some pancakes tomorrow. I might cook. Let me see. Picking up before I got poked at them, and after turning the top of one over, I dabbed the milky yellow substance between the rubbery layers. In doing so, my interest in what sat atop my plate faded to nil. Yeah. Did she make like bad pancakes? The hanging lamp dangled overhead, making a sporadic buzzing sound as its honey-colored light flickered, creating jittery shadows and distorting my vision within the inn. The pouring rain outside didn't appear as if it would let up anytime soon. Bringing my face closer to the window, I peered through the film of water flowing down the outside of the glass as I tried to make out the dimly lit avenue. Although the station house sat right at the end of the road from where we were lodged, all that was visible was the side of a structure obscured by a shadow rather, which prevented me from being able to see the platform. There's nothing to be worried about, said Sister Carnelia as she returned, wiping her hands with a handkerchief as white as the newly driven snow. Because, you know, it was bloody. Stretched. So she was helping us. Stretching the square strip cloth. Yeah, she stretched out her hanky. She sat down and placed it neatly on her lap like a napkin. Then, in a reassuring tone, she added, "We've seen the last of them for a while." Watching the tips of her fingers move as she smoothed out the wrinkles on a piece of fabric resting on her legs, I was hit with a sudden flashback reviving the awful sight and coppery scent of the sticky blood which had covered those hands not more than a few hours ago. "How can you be so certain?" I asked, still having more than a few reservations. "Because that's how these types of crime syndicates work," she replied, clearly seeming to know all the answers. The waiter came and set a plate of pancakes in front of Sister Carnelia. With a soft clink, the base of the glassy dish tapped lightly against the hard surface of the table. After scooting the meat-laden porcelain plate closer to her, she licked the sauce, now covering the tips of the fingers in a most sensual way. Hey, Turner Boy, are you reading this? Yeah, Carnelia, she... Anyway. Sickened by the bloody image already in my mind now. Sickened? Boy. And now the sauce. I tossed my fork aside and leaned heavily back into my chair. The city outside began to fade into shades of gray by the time that Sister Carnelia had finished tucking away her steak. We had a couple of pancakes and she had a whole steak. We chose right, but anyway, it had completely sunk into the darkness of the night. I questioned again, how can you be so certain no one will come after us? Using a piece of black crusted bread to wipe up the last drops of sauce, she answered, because that's how they function. One unit consists of 3 people. Then, as if remembering something else important, she added that group was after you. They're a Jaeger Corps. Oh, upon hearing this, I recalled seeing some of those men at the landing port some time ago. Only the most renowned and skilled mercenary groups have the honor of calling themselves a Jaeger Corps. Or at least that's what Mitch had told me. They were soldiers of fortune. Soldier of fortune! Another name for mercenary, which I think is a really dope nickname, with soldiers of fortune, who were said to relentlessly follow the flow of moral wherever that happened to lead, and they would stop at nothing to get at it, even if it meant spilling blood. Warhawks, mercenaries without borders, love it. A group never to be involved with, is what Mitch often had a habit of saying about them. Instinctively, I slid my foot. How long have we been going? We've been going for, oh, this is gonna be like an hour of reading. Oh man. How do I want to do this? I'm gonna continue reading all of it, but I'm not sure how I'm gonna split it up. I have no idea. I'll figure it out. Instinctively, I slid my foot forward and checked the location of my bag at the tip of it. It was quite simple, really, Sister Carnelia explained as she reached for her dessert. You, Toby, are carrying something that apparently got a lot of people on edge. And someone's hired a Jaeger Corp to take you out. But it's not me they're after. It's what I'm carrying. It's all the same, she retorted, rather. Gulped down her cup of tea in a single breath. Oh my gosh, she was like, tea? Done. They're going to kill the courier before they even think about searching the contents of his bag. A butcher kills a cow before someone grills the steak, not the other way around. Lecturing me all the while, Sister Carnelia took a glassy, hollow-tailed knife in hand and sliced into her apple pie. The powdered sugar sprinkled on the flaky crust danced under the golden light. I felt a stabbing pain of guilt racing through me just above my gut. Unexpectedly, I began to think about what Mitch could be doing at this moment, but my short period of rumination was cut short when I saw Sister Carnelia's hand stop cold. Glaring into the darkness, eyes focused and intent like a hunting dog, she tossed something shiny onto the table and eventually rose to her feet. There it was, my orb mitt. Where are you going? Without pausing to answer my question, Sister Carnelia expeditiously fastened the buckle of her coat. You've got good taste, Toby. One at a time, she set her heels on the chair and tightened her bootlaces. Using full capabilities of that ornament is no small feat. I think even most bracers would be in for a real surprise if push came to shove with you in the ring. Growing ever more impatient, I asked again, so where exactly is it that you're going? That's none of your concern, came the answer. Suffice to say, I will be seeing you again on the morrow. And with that, Sister Carnelia disappeared through the door of the women's restroom. As if exchanging paces, 2 other men entered the restaurant. They walked directly to the table which sat and stood before me. Flashing the emblem on his chest without making any sort of eye contact, one of the men said, "We're with the Bracers Guild. I apologize for disturbing you in the middle of your evening, but you'll need to come with us." Well, we're in trouble with the Bracers. Okay, so we've read half of them. Or I guess less than half of them. We could read 6 now. It's been... I guess it hasn't been a full, 38 minutes. I guess we probably did about 10 minutes of reading the comments. I'm just gonna go through all of them. We're already halfway through. We can't just stop now. Part of me was like, we'll do half of them now and then half of them before we turn them in, but we might as well just, go for it now. And I'll probably, do a section off in terms of the times. So it'll be like, hey, this is the section that is... Oh, the playtime is even still counting. I'd never noticed that on the corner. It'll be like, I'll probably say something at the start, and I'll probably say something at the end that'll be like, hey, cut. I know what I'm gonna do. Interesting. Let's continue on. I want to know more about Sister Carnelia. Ascertaining the inner workings, my orbment emptied bag and my package wrapped in old newspaper magazine stuff were laid out neatly on the table in front of me. The bracer sitting opposite me gazed alternately at my face and the items on the table as if they were trying to gauge my reaction to them. Constantly rubbing his chin between his fingers, it appeared to me as though he were making an effort to display his right hand, snugly fit within a leather gauntlet. I had been led to the second floor of the lodge by two men, and then after they had painstakingly checked out the layout of the room, I was taken to the farthest room from the stairs. It occurred to me that the reason for the use of the makeshift space was due to there being no guild branch nearby. The first man to sit in front of me was the lanky one. He told me his name, but as soon as I forgot which one was Clayton and which one was Pavel, oh no, Clayton and Pavel, about the time I had finished being frisked, the bracer wearing gauntlets, Clayton or Pavel, whoever it was, returned and whispered something into his partner's ear. It seemed as though they were trying to locate Sister Carnelia, but having no luck. Oh, that's a shame, y'all. After much probing on the subject of her and the Jaeger Corps, after relating everything I had heard from her on the train, I turned the conversation around and played the role of victim, inquiring into her past. Though, strictly speaking, I guess I was in fact a victim. Yeah. Her name is Ein Cellmate. Oh my. No, she's Sister Carnelia to me. Read aloud lanky bracer from a pocketbook he had just below eye level. Originally constituent member of the Jaeger Corps, her present affiliation and activities are unknown. In short, added his partner pompously, she's not the type of person any upstanding citizen should be getting involved with. He reached out his gauntlet-clad hand and picked up the object wrapped in scrap paper, checking, dang it. Checking my attention all the while, he unwrapped the paper, laying it out flat in the center of the table. It turns out to be a lump of metal ingrained with some sort of clay substance. I blurted out, I was on my way to a research institute with the item when everything happened. Then I threw in the address of some non-existent client for good measure. The bracers took notes, making sure not to leave out any of the details of our conversation. Then, to dispel any lingering suspicions, I agreed to stay with them under their watchful eyes for the night. The next day, I found myself inclined to go along with them to the nearest guild branch in order to file a report about the events that happened back at the station. But I had no qualms over the matter. My greatest concern at the moment, after all, was not running into any more trouble. I awoke as the sun over the horizon and day broke. With the advent of a peaceful morning, I sat up. That's not gonna happen, my guy. And breathed out a sigh of relief. The bracers who stood guard the previous night were no longer present in the room, but the sounds of their voices could be heard echoing outside of the door. Suddenly, slipping my arm to the sleeves of the jacket, I felt a sharp pain in my right elbow, which brought back vivid memories of the woman from the day before, Sister Carnelia. Suddenly, a feeling of uneasiness came over me, and still half undressed, I began adjusting my orbment. After opening its back cover, black cover would have made me go like, I'm sorry, black orbment? You said what? I used a thin piece of tanned doe skin and started plucking out the cords installed in each slot. It didn't take but 5 minutes to insert them into different slots, rearranging their configuration with a set of light magic as my base. One by one, I replaced each one of the screws until I finally the metallic panel was back in place. And as a feeling of calmness set in, I rolled back in bed. It was all at that time that a tall woman appearing to be a maid opened the door carrying a basin of hot water for the sink, which guests could shave their faces. After placing the steaming tub on the table, the woman quietly went about her daily task of removing the bed linen. Finding myself shooed from my bed, get out of here, I reluctantly headed down to the basin when just beyond the open door, I caught sight of two shadows. They're here, I heard my voice mutter as the low tone of my suppressed voice reached my ears. With only a bar of soap in hand, I remained unbelievably calm as I quickly shut and bolted the door. Then, pondering my next move, I stood still, my back pressed against the wall. On the other side of the hardened clay rather, the brief clamor of fighting ensued. Oh, fumbling with the chain attached to my hip pocket, I grabbed hold of the ornament I had adjusted just barely moments ago. It was 2 braces versus 2 others I had seen moments ago. Throwing myself into the mix with the 2 men from the guild would definitely put us in an advantage of number standpoint. However, when I turned again to face the door, the voice of self-doubt percolating through my closed lips in the form of an distant mutter. There were only 2 of them? I murmured to myself. If Sister Carnelia's words were to be believed, then one unit consisted of 3, not 2. Again, I questioned myself inwardly. Then where's the 3rd? Maybe Sister Carnelia's a 3rd. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end as I realized my plight. Something swung down over the top of my head, catching me around the neck, and the next instant I was flung to the ground. From the corner of my blurred vision came the inexplicable view of a woman with demonic bloodshot eyes standing over me, trying to wrench the very life out of me with every twist of the sheets she had wrapped around my throat. Clutching my ornament in hand, I activated the fired off a burst of magic while laying half asphyxiated on the wooden planks of the room. The destructive vortex compressed air slipped deeply into my hip, but at the same time caused the woman to double over before forcefully blowing her to another part of the room. Goodness gracious. Shreds of whirling linen flecked and sprayed and with fresh blood blasted through a gaping hole in the wall. Goodness gracious. Where a closed window once stood, leaving nothing but shards of broken glass and a frame rent beyond repair. Well, that escalated quickly. The death of a friend. Uh-oh. Well, that's not good. Wheezing, I breathed in. The sound high and whistling as the air fought to make it through my constricted windpipe. Still clutching tightly to my ornament, I unwound the sheets from my throat. Utterly exhausted, I tilted my head on its side and watched with reddened eyes as a small stream of saliva dribbled over the edge of my mouth and pooled onto the floor. When fresh air finally made its way into my lungs, it initially choked me as badly as the sheet had. A thump from somewhere behind me startled me from my fit. The Jaeger demoness, like a spring-laden doll, leaped from the floor. Oh my gosh, of the room. Goodness gracious. The single shot of magic I had previously landed into her gut should have done the trick, but the fluid way she moved about made it appear as if she were unfazed by the blow. Within arm's reach of where I had subconsciously curled myself from the splintering sound of unseasoned wood being hewn by a giant woodcutter's axe, in the following instance, Sister Carnelia came flying through a newly opened hole in the timber door. My gosh! Sister Carnelia? Her entry punctuated by a cloud of splinters, her arms as pilling as whips. She passed by the female Jaeger in a lightning quick motion and with a turning assault clocked her opponent full tilt to the face. The woman spun with the full force of the blow and fell tumultuously. Thud, boom, bam. Her head cracking against the hard floor. Like a prima ballerina, Sister Carnelia raised her high knee until she had tucked it securely against her sternum. She stared down at the outstretched figure on the floor, muscles flexed without an ounce of mercy. Sister Carnelia let her judgment fall with her heel of her boot stomping and crushing the wretched woman's throat. Oh my gosh. Sister Carnelia? No, this is nasty. Was she nasty? As I witnessed the grotesque, unsightly scene. Yeah, nasty. Sister Carnelia gave a quick glance in my direction and beckoned on me. I'm coming. I'll be there in just a moment, Sister Carnelia. I need to get the image of you literally murdering someone in front of me out of my mind. Okay, it's gone. You are very appealing again. Then with a nimble hop into the unknown before her, she cleared the broken window frame and lighted to the ground. Quickly scraping my belongings together, I made after her in the same manner as she had left, out the window with a 2-story drop to the cobblestone side road below. Waiting close by and helping me with my less than elegant fall, Sister Carnelia led me led me on, hopefully she's not leading me on, as we took flight along the avenue, brightly lit morning sun. Deafened by the blare of an orbital engine's whistle indicated that the first train was about to depart. Sister Carnelia immediately pulled out a ticket from her coat pocket and held it out to me from the side. Reaching for the fluttering strip between her fingers, I realized that I was carrying the bar of soap from before. You're still clutching that thing? That's crazy. I guess, you know, like, you're just like, oh my gosh, everything's happening so fast. So I chucked it, not caring about where it landed or who it might hit. Aboard the train, the smoggy haze from the incessant smoking of nattering gentlemen had permeated onto every nook and cranny of the passenger car. There was also the smell of newly printed publications. She saved our life twice. Who is she? Anyway, occasional sound of someone clearing their throat. It felt rather awkward to have boarded a train bound for the Imperial City with my bag still in hand. Do you know what your problem is, Toby? Sister Carnelia remarked. You're just like that orbman of yours. She used her white handkerchief. She snatched, wiping the flow of blood from my leg, which had been lacerated by the spinning arrow blades of magic. Once you get yourself in trouble, you keep digging yourself deeper until someone comes along with a billy club and whacks some good sense into you. Okay, sister. Placing a folded magazine on my lap, she tapped it onto the nail of her index finger, indicating that I should read what was inside. It was a copy of the Imperial Chronicle, which had been published just that morning. A several-line article buried behind more titillating news told the suspicious death of one orbital factory owner somewhere within the capital. This was the first time I had ever been aware of Mitch's real age. Oh no! This was the first time I was ever— oh no. Sister Carnelia continued her lecture as she mercilessly upbraided me for my reckless behavior. You miss being caught up in all of this by a hair's breadth, she informed me coolly. That's wild. At a loss for words over the shock of Mitch's death, I put the magazine away in my trench coat pocket. Another 5 minutes in that shop and you would have gone to meet your maker too. Goodness gracious, we just missed that? What's going on? I shook my head, and with my trembling lips, the thoughts fumble out of my mouth. I just don't get it. Why did Mitch have to die? Images of Mitch's cold body behind the counter alternated in my mind with that lump of metal wrapped in scrap paper. Just what the hell have I been carrying all this time? And why did anyone have to die over it? I pondered at great length. Sister Carnelia met my eyes and held them. Because it's an artifact. An artifact? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Things are getting a little bit more real to life, huh? I scoffed as I blew her over. It's not like I've carried a bunch of them. I haven't carried a bunch of them before, rather. Artifacts, in short, were a remaining legacy of an ancient civilization and a generic term for unidentifiable mechanism which resembled that of an ornament. I had spent my days as a carrier, smuggling any number of these items under the false pretense that the goods I were carrying were nothing more than rare antiques, and readily placed them into the hands of those aristocrats among them who were especially in vogue. And for the most part, my current possession appeared as though it belonged to the same group of people. Personally, I could find no other value in collecting those— oh, I guess this is why it's called Death of a Friend. That's Mitch. I should have put two and two together. Personally, I could find no other value in collecting those artifacts besides indulgence of one's self in a decadent hobby. Chiding myself as if I were a clueless child. Chiding me, rather, as if I were a clueless child. Sister Carnelia rebuked. You're wrong, Toby. This one's much different than the others. After a moment's pause, she added, it's alive. Alive? Unable to grasp what she meant, I looked at her with a questioning expression on my face. Sister Carnelia tried again. What I'm trying to tell you is that it still works, although I'm not really sure what kind of power it actually has. Oh, she's still saying these words. It was unearthed during an excavation within the Empire's territory about 30 years ago. Sister Carnelia's subsequent story about the peculiar lump of metal told the dark history surrounding a group of aristocrats who relentlessly sought after it. Sounding a little too true to life now. The artifact itself had transitioned from hand to hand by those in power, as if As one after another, they were murdered while slumbering in their bedchambers. Then, at the end of the 100 Days' War, its whereabouts were said to have been lost. And strangely enough, it turned up in the capital after all this time. So we do know that they will kill for this. We'll see. An announcement chimed in the passenger car, notifying those riding of the scheduled time of arrival. Sister Carnelia uncrossed and recrossed her long legs. Ayo. The one who was after this artifact was hired by the Jaegers to bring it to them. Well, that sounds like... okay, whatever the cost. So as a result, I was dispatched by the church in order to protect both you and it from falling into their hands. Oh. I need to talk to all the sisters. One of them's a Carnelia? I sat down staring at the bag, resting to my feet. As we approached our destination, the train moved quietly and began to lose speed. So that is probably our climax. In the bowels of the Imperial City, moving purposefully through the crowd. As we made our way through the rows of seats. We need to like drink a whole bottle of water after this. Each time swinging the bag in hand struck the side of my knee, I became keenly aware of its presence. It was an unnerving feeling, quite like I had unintentionally brushed up against someone in an offensive way. Furthermore, it was nearly inconceivable to my mind that the ancient relic of the Jaeger's corpse were pursuing with such a frenzy. How are they, like, locating him, though? Do they just have his picture or something? I don't know. Sitting right there inside the stitched cloth of this cheap handbag. What a fool Mitch had been. Hadn't he known the burden of this object would bring one far more weighty than the both of us could have ever hoped to bear? I squeezed my eyes shut against the thoughts flying around in my mind and addressed Sister Carnelia, who would follow closely behind me. Will we be making a break for the cathedral once we get off? Yes, that's the plan. Scanning the scene outside of the window of the passenger car, I think that's the only option we've got if you want to make it through this alive. Through this day alive. Oh my gosh, not this, just this day. Okay. The station where the train was set to arrive was remittingly crowded, with countless droves of passengers, and as usual, the sky was slightly overcast. Everyone outside on the platform stood shivering in silence with their collars drawn up to the ears, huddling close to one another for warmth, like a flock of waterfowl out on the tidelands in the midwinter. Don't worry, I won't be tossing you down a flight of stairs this time, Toby. Sister Carnelia jested. Although, if there were 2 more of you at my disposal, I might have decided otherwise. Gosh darn it. Evidently, the numbers in our welcome party this time had seen a rather dramatic increase. Ooh. The odds don't appear to be in our favor, she said in a low voice, her warm breath tickling the lobe of my ear. We won't be able to leave through the ticket gate. As soon as we had stepped off the train, we were stealthily moved to the opposite end of the platform after sneaking out of a large door for only authorized station personnel. We jumped down the path of the railway ties and the steel rails below. The biting cold of the wind of the capital swept across the unobstructed railway, causing me to shudder as it ruffled our coats with its chilly touch. Slipping between the couplers of a pair of freight cars, we moved cautiously along the edge. Sticking close to the shadows over the cargo platform, workers were busy unloading containers. For someone who had this mindset on becoming a dealer of pilfered goods, gaining illicit entry into the station house would be one of my first of all basics. Showing my ticket, I spoke politely to one of the workers. Then, with a scenario picked out in my head, I sold it to him. As I played the part of a manager, here on business with a celebrity of noble repute. Midway through our conversation, I introduced Sister Carnelia, who did her best to show the man a glamorous smile and a feminine pose. But I had gone a bit overboard when I stated that she was an opera singer because the way that she carried herself made her look more akin to a low-wage cell-sing of a bar of drunkards, yet in spite of all of it, the worker rather graciously let us through. You're so good at this, it's almost scary, Toby, Sister Carnelia said. As we raced through the station's warehouse. You should stay sick instead of doing another job, she went on. Fair enough. I bet you're going to tell me to join the Bracers Guild, right? I wonder. Come on, those guys would turn me down in a heartbeat, I said as I laughed the thought off. Then, throwing the idea back in her court, so how about yourself? Why don't you join the Bracers Guild? Reaching the end of the warehouse sector, we came to stop in front of a large chain link fence. Sister Carnelia crouched down and while sliding a drainage cover to the side, laughed at my previous question as if it were insane. Are you kidding? Haha. They'd gun me down on the second I set foot in one of their branches. Okay, Sister Carnelia, I guess you have been doing a lot of murder in the story alone. You've already murdered someone in one of their branches. The winding, narrow stone tunnels, like the one that we were in, ran everywhere in the capital. We crawled along the light shining down the path of the drainage gates. On one side, a large road above us illuminated the way, like a trail of flickering light, flickering orbital lampposts, rather. The feet of those walking along the avenue passed right by where we were. Not a single person noticed us scraping along below them. As for some strange reason or another, the world just beyond the thin flagstone paved road appeared so dazzling in my eyes, yet the Jaeger Corps lost the artifact in hand, rather, and a senseless sudden death, all of which had never crossed my mind before, lay in wait for me dared as I ventured into the open world above. As we pressed on, I began to think that the small tunnel, or the small round tunnel rather, which we were crawling through would run on forever. When it finally merged with a high ceiling sewer surrounded by walls of countless blocks of chiseled stone, we'll make our way through here. We'll go through here, rather, and make our way over to where the cathedral is located, Sister Carnelia insisted, raising one brow, the people's eyebrow, and pointing her finger upward, acknowledging me. It's a lot safer down here than it is up there. That's fine and all, but what are we going to do if we get attacked? If it gets attacked, rather. Sister Carnelia grabbed my hand, and with that, stepped into the muddy darkness. Don't worry, Toby, she reassured me. Faith isn't the only thing supporting the church. Oh my gosh. Okay, go on. And this one's just called Carnelia, the Last Stand, and then a legacy never to be forgotten. Okay. Carnelia, tell us what's up. The flicker of orbital lamps mounted at the equidistant lengths, rather, along the sewer walls sent thin streaks of light across the surface of the rippling flow of filthy sewage. Passing in front of one by one, Sister Carnelia sped down the stone sidewalk as the sound of her body cutting through racing tunnels trailed out behind her. Panting and out of breath, I continued to move my feet towards the darkness which lay before me as I chased after Sister Carnelia's flickering shadow. Wayward, yet without a single moment of repose, we headed unrelentingly down the site set on the cathedral of the Septian Church. We moved swiftly across the moss-covered stone pavement, then clacking heels echoing in the dimly lit underground. Above ground, the walking distance on the city roads from the railway station to the cathedral was about 3 blocks. We made our way up through the drainage ditch, rather, just beyond the sluice gate, we would find ourselves in the public square outside of the massive sanctuary. Up ahead, the light of another orbital lamp came into view. Turning her head in my direction without a word, Sister Carnelia extended her right hand outward in a wide motion, indicating that we would be turning that way at the next corner. Then, as if preparing for something, she rolled both of her shoulders in a grinding motion and relieved the last of her tension with a plop of her neck. It seemed to me as though, rather, she knew all too well what was lurking within the conduit ahead. I didn't get to read whatever word that was, and I'm not going back for it. Under the unsteady and sporadic coruscation of light, the body of Sister Carnelia surged around the corner and disappeared from view. 1, 2, 3 went walloping echoes, followed by the sound of something rolled into the channel of the filthy sludge. As I turned the corner, the first thing which leapt in my sights were the contorted figures of 2 men on the ground whom I'm barely mistreading on. Sister Carnelia, who was by this time several steps ahead, continued to run at her usual pace, so she just instantly murdered 3 people. As if nothing happened during the preceding seconds, "It's Carnelia!" came an angry but noticeable wavering voice from behind. "It's Carnelia!" I glanced to my rear to locate its source, and there I found a man who dragged himself from the fecal-filled liquid, now laying down next to his dead comrades, yelling with his dying breath as blood leaked from his mouth. "Carnelia, she's down here!" he managed to croak before falling silent and still. Sister Carnelia paid no attention nor made any effort to look back. I turned my face forward and followed her example. The walls of the conduit leading directly to the sluice gate squared out to an ominous mouth of darkness, seemingly waiting for its next unsuspecting meal. Sister Carnelia gradually slowed her pace to match mine as by this time I completely exhausted and out of breath. It looks like these guys are dead serious about getting their hands on that item of yours this time, she said as she focused her eyes on the darkness before us. So, were those men old friends of yours or something? I inquired. Sister Carnelia turned to face me with darkened scarlet eyes. Is that what you heard from those braces the other day? She asked. I nodded my head and questioned her no further. With head slightly turned down, I forced myself onward, eyes focused on the tips of my boots. Unexpectedly, Sister Carnelia opened her mouth and said, Do you remember that woman who you had a run-in with back at the end? Yeah. I nodded slightly. The whole reason I gave up my life as a mercenary is because I didn't want to meet a tragic end like that. Oh, man. A life of no meaning, forgotten by all. Dang. Okay, I looked up at Sister Carnelia and seeing a slight show of emotion in the side of her face, heard her repeat the same line of words a few times before finishing her thought. If I'm going to cash in my life's chips, then I think it's best that I fight for something worth fighting for. At least that way, I'd be able to leave a legacy of my existence behind, and we know what the finale is called. Oh man. Taking in her words, I ran steadily behind her as I felt a sense of nondescript apprehension slowly being crept over me. During the short intervals between breaths, it suddenly seemed as if I were hearing the faint sound of sloshing water behind, which caused me to prick up my ears and turn my head in its direction. So you noticed too, huh, Toby? Sister Carnelia slowed her step until finally coming to a complete stop. They've blockaded us from behind, so there's no turning back now, she said. Direness of our situation heavy in her voice. We arrived at the intersection where the conduit we were in and another crossed paths just beyond the wide, fetid flow of sewage water before us. I could see dimly lit sluice gate. I placed my back against the damp bricks of the nearest wall for a moment and tried to catch my breath. They're probably lying in wait for us. Sister Carnelia assessed the stodly after glaring across the flowing sewage of the merged channels and then turning her head to the rear and narrowing her eyes. And unfortunately, this time we won't be able to circumvent them. With a sound of composure revealing her utmost resolve, Sister Carnelia took a few deep breaths. I laid my hand on my ornament, gripping it in the palm of my sweaty hand, then wrapped the strap of my bag securely around my wrist, and as always, Sister Carnelia checked her boots before standing upright, and then taking a few steps back. On holding my breath, I raced forward and darted into the Stygian flow of waste. Disgusting. The last stand. Sister Carnelia made such haste as she aimed for the path on the opposite side of the sludge-filled channel that I could have sworn she was actually running on the liquid surface. Based on my observation of minuscule spatters her feet produced. And of course, she passed by me in the blink of an eye. The space growing wider and wider between us, as I continued to trudge my way through the filthy muck. Flashes of magic erupted from the darkness by the sluice gate and ripped through the air in rapid succession. None of them could overtake the speed at which Sister Carnelia moved. Oh my gosh, Sister Carnelia! In an unyielding offense by the shadowed aggressors, the settled feculence in the depths of the channel was thrown up in the form of a powerful tsunami. Oh, it's a tsunami of waste. And in the instance before clearing myself from the destructive path, I feared that the terrible wall of sedimented filth would crush me under the weight and bring me to an unsightly end. With an mid-air spin to avoid the last of the oncoming magic, Sister Carnelia flew into the opposite side of the channel with incredible speed, hurtling the wall of piled up sandbags behind her. Which attackers took cover, she whirled her arms in a ferocious onslaught one by one like a row of pins being struck down by a weighted object. The line of standing Jaegers crumbled to the ground. Sister Carnelia's attack were like a whirlwind of death, blurry with the speed at which they struck. They came advancing at an inconceivable angles and puncturing throats and slashing arteries, and then they were gone. Sister Carnelia. So it was then that I finally reached the cobbled path beyond the stagnant channel. Not a soul was left standing besides Sister Carnelia and myself. The cathedral is just at the end of this ladder, just beyond the gate, she indicated as she flicked blood dripping from her fingers like a child who forgot a handkerchief to dry her wet hands. Her eyes shone with the afterglow of battle. The Jaegers can't be far behind, so we better hurry, she warned. As if to punctuate her warning, the damp sound of numerous feet kicking up water as they advanced towards our present location had now become clearly audible to my ears. Stepping over the handful of Jaeger corpses lying scattered around beyond the wall of sandbags, we made our way for the dry bed channel ahead of us. I placed my hands on the slightly dampened stone floor of the empty channel and crawled through the half-open door of the sluice gate. A falling water droplet, struck the nape of my neck as I passed through the cramped opening, causing me to stop dead in my tracks. In the moment that followed, I recognized the sound of an orbment overhead, on the verge of discharging a burst of magic. "Toby!" came the ostensible voice of Sister Carnelia as my vision was instantly flooded with a wave of exceeding brightness. Then, in the midst of this world of blinding light, came the hand of a savior, which grabbed me firmly by the shoulder. The powerful feeling of being dragged and the explosion produced by magic rupturing the stone were almost simultaneous. As the booming roar swept across my body, I was, thrown backwards towards the ground. Despite my clouded vision, I managed to somersault before landing in the prone position. Choking on the filthy puddle I had fallen face down into, I lifted my head to see a cloud of blackened dust being heaved from the mouth of the half-raised sluice gate. And, as if my worst nightmare had now become reality, I watched as one after another, blockading Jaegers emerged from the smoky cloud, each bearing a glinting blade. I floundered on the slippery mud and watched as their ranks sprang into action, and closed my eyes, their rugged facial features now visible to my eyes. Instantly rolling to the side, I unsheathed my hidden blade as I attempted to deflect a wide, arching slash with another with my bag. The cloth of the bag, over which the sharp edge ran, slitting open without a sound, and the paper-wrapped ornament fell onto the cobbled floor. Frantically, I searched for the ornament at my side, but was unable to get a grip on it because of my clumsy, panic-stricken state. One of the mercenary men, his eyes intent on my throat, drew back his long blade to end my life, but before he could make his move, a dark silhouette appeared behind him. It was Sister Carnelia. Her hands, moving with such finesse, disarmed the man in an instant and left only his sword behind before he was launched from view in the hanging shadows veiling the dank conduit. She is a dope. What is she? Oh my gosh. As the sound of a falling sword struck the ground. With a high-pitched clink, Sister Carnelia dropped to her knees. Her soft, whispered words were full of regret. "I'm sorry, Toby." With her head bowed forward, I watched in disbelief as several streaks of blood began to run down the side of her face. "It looks like the goddess may be calling you home, too." "Oh no," she said gently. Once again, Sister Carnelia rose to her feet, her coat hanging in tatters. Eyeing her outer garments in a ragged state, I know for certain that it had been caused from the previous blast of magic. I assume so. In order to protect me from harm, Sister Carnelia had willingly used her body as a shield to absorb the brunt of the force. I kind of figured that she'd either died in that explosion or, like, yeeted us out of the way. Or both. And now, a stain of effervescing crimson blood had begun to seep through the cloth covering her breast. I swiped up the artifact, which had tumbled to the ground from the hole in my severed bag, and tore the wet paper which covered its surface. Then, the cold lump of metal in my hand, I placed it atop my ornament and gripped them both tightly together. The sound of the footfall from the Jaeger corps had now subsided. They stood in a cluster with their swords drawn, effectively blocking any escape through the sluice gate. Sister Carnelia let out a shrill cry, and I, as if taking the sound to be a command and attack unleashed the energy pent up within my ornament. The device roared, and at the instant a wave of magic was discharged. I felt an intense wave of searing heat graze over my cheek as my entire body was immediately blown backwards by powerful force. Stunned, I collapsed onto the floor. When I finally opened my eyes, I could see Sister Carnelia standing above me with her back turned to face me. Her right arm had lost all of its strength to function and hung limply at her side. Dazedly, she slid to her knees and slumped onto the ground before me. I pulled Sister Carnelia close to myself and hugged her tightly, blasted the pack of assailing mercenaries with an instantaneous wave of magic, but then it was all over, my last stand ending as soon as it had begun. Countless razor-sharp swords stared down at us from all sides, convinced that I'd reached my life's terminus. I raised my right hand while placing a false hope in my orbit that it could somehow protect us. I activated it, the last of its energy being consumed as it was drained to empty. Whirling arrow blades spun around us as I closed my eyes, accepting my fate, and behind my darkened eyelids, an endless realm of whiteness began to spread out before me. A legacy never to be forgotten. I was swallowed up by the light, only to be spewed moments later onto a patch of hardened ground. The air was filled with a scent of sun-baked earth. Are we dead? Yet, for being on the floor of some grandiose heavenly estate, inherited those in the afterlife, it felt quite like flagstones I had been accustomed to in my past. We know we're not dead, though. Upon feeling around in my immediate surroundings, my searching hand found soft locks of disheveled hair. It seemed as though Sister Carnelia had come as well as I met our creator firsthand. Gradually, as I lay there, I felt something warm swell within the pit of my stomach. Weary and spent, I just let the feeling spread over me. It was about this time that the sound of murmuring voices started to fill the air. Warm breath tickled around my nose and brow, letting me know that I was being stared directly in my face. My eyes adjusted to the intensity of the light as I realized I was looking into the face of a young girl who beamed back at me with the brightest, widest of smiles. However, she seemed a bit young to be held esteemed in the esteemed position of the goddess. The knell of a bell overhead rang loudly and clearly. Strangely, it sounded exactly like the cathedral's distinctive toll. Taking in the series of events to be rather odd, I picked myself up and at last awakened from the dream which I had previously invaded my senses. There it was, the familiar cityscape, the sounds, even the scent of the breeze. I knew this place by heart, rather. It was the public square of the Imperial City, which unfolded before the great cathedral of the Septian Church. I opened my fingers of my right hand and stared at the metallic lump in its palms and trusted to be my Mitch. Golden filaments of light swirled around the surface of the artifact. I instantly recalled Sister Carnelia's words, "It's alive." She had said them. Those were her words. As I watched the ancient light gradually faded before me, closing my hand around it, its surface one more, rather, I believed it. It was alive, and it saved me. Supporting each other by wrapping our arms around one another's shoulders, Sister Carnelia and I hobbled and limped our way towards the magnificent cathedral as the awe-inspiring figure of the goddess Idio stood silently with unfurled wings watching over us from the deep-hued stained glass window above. And as for the events which followed, they were all settled in an orderly fashion. The metallic lump which Sister Carnelia had so daringly risked her life was turned over to His Eminence, the Cardinal, rather, who presided over the cathedral. He disappeared with it through the thick, open door of the sacred vault. Good. The level of corruption which had spread like a plague among members of Imperial Court, influential aristocrats, rather, and even the commissioned officers of the Imperial Army, astonished even those mediators acting on behalf, rather, of the Bracers Guild. Well, that paragraph seems seems true to form. I stayed by Carnelia's side as she was laid out on a pew within the cathedral. The real sisters of the church, the real sisters, delicately pulled off of her coat and cut open her vest, now stuck to her body with dried blood. Upon doing so, they found an ornate shirt of chainmail just beneath the layer of clothing which for some strange reason seemed to bewilder all of them. The next day, a certain aristocrat who had hired the Jaeger Corps to carry out his selfish bidding agreed to relinquish the artifacts in his possession in order to keep his estate. Oh my gosh, really? That's all they did? Okay. Hence, his collection of forbidden antiques were bought under safekeeping of the Septian Church. Sworn to secrecy, lmao. I made immediate arrangements to take leave for Calvard Republic. Okay. My destination, a high-class resort, which turned out to be an excellent way to recover physically and mentally, as well as forget about the series of events which had occurred to me over the past few days. Naturally, the bracers assigned to provide my escort were none other than Clayton and Pavel, who before we left guided me without a word to where Sister Carnelia was resting. I talked with Sister Carnelia, who had awoken for a short interval, but as I got up to leave, she reached out her dainty hand and said to me, "Before you go, I want to tell you my real name. It's Ein Cellmate." I took her unblemished hand in mine and gripped it firmly as I expressed my appreciation for what she had done. And now, 3 years later, I stood staring at her name once again, but this time printed on the page of the Imperial Chronicle, Ein Cellmate, or Cellnet. Those were the words printed. Those were the printed characters that ran a few lines under the embellished article. Yesterday, a corpse was discovered in an urban area of the capital just before dawn. The body was found to be covered with multiple stab wounds. The departed in life had been involved in charitable work and brought salvation to many afflicted souls in various regions throughout the land. As I read the last line, I envisioned the deceased figure of Carnelia lying motionless in a darkened street. Yet despite the blood-stained face I envisioned in my mind, I saw her as she rested in peace, a gentle smile across her face, and vindicated of any transgressions in life. I rolled up my copy of the magazine in hand. I brushed my hand across the shiny Bracers emblem pinned on my chest. I was hoping so. And almost 2 years had passed since I converted to my new line of work, which Sister Carnelia had graciously recommended to me. And finally, I even had begun to use my real name, Toby. Came the whisper of Sister Carnelia as it resurrected in my ears. Now only known as Toby, I pressed my forehead up against the cold, clouded window of the passenger's car, the refulgent eyes of Sister Carnelia shining brightly like a carnelian stone forever ingrained in my mind. In my mind's eye, I watched as her coat sleeves trailed out beyond, or behind rather, as she dashed forward into the darkness of my memories. Opening my eyes, I gazed out through the window glass, and there I saw the bleeding rogue-colored illumination of the Imperial City as it faded away beneath the heavy white fog. Well, dang. You're telling me that you did all this adventuring with Sister Carnelia and y'all didn't y'all didn't have a happily ever after? I guess she probably had a happily ever after. She was like, if I'm ever gonna lose my life and put all the chips on the line, I want it to be something that's worth it. We are at an hour and 20 minutes. This could have been the whole episode for real. Okay. Which means it's gonna be a shorter episode because it's gonna be like half actual gameplay and we just read that whole thing. So, I'm gonna drink some water. Alright, let's actually go through some of this game. I'm not sure how much we're gonna play of it because I don't want this to be like the longest of episodes. Memories made in the longest episode. Let me see. So at the castle, talk to the man in the leftmost room for some info on what the intelligence division is doing. When Hilda accompanies you, all characters will have unique dialogue. If you had to read some, rather, let it be Lila's. Okay. And then talk to the queen again before leaving the keep. She's moved to the back balcony. Okay, cool. This is the leftmost room, right? But isn't this our room? Yeah. Do they mean here? Who's in here? Have I been everywhere else? No, I don't think I've been in this one. No, I think I've been in all of them. I guess let's keep going left and see what's unfolding. Oh, who are you? Libra, what are those intelligence division people up to? Taking important documents without official permission? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, taking official documents? Are you about to name yourself king? These kind of look like the boards. I digress. I actually think we're done in here. Where am I not supposed to go? That's the real question. Where am I not supposed to go? The throne? Joshua, bow down. I am the queen. My queen. Let me see. Are there other guests in here? There may be. Oh, hey! You're the dude! You're the guy from the lab. Yes, Murdoch. I couldn't remember the chief's name. Estelle, Joshua. Mr. Murdoch. I thought you might be here. I wasn't sure, actually. I had to fill up this whole thing again. After reading all that Carnelia. With mayoral class individuals on the guest list, we had a feeling that you might also be in the attendance. I guess he is essentially the mayor of that place. I must say that I never expected you two to win a tournament championship and end up hobnobbing. Hobnobbing! I love Murdoch in Grancel Castle. I'm so glad he wasn't a villain. Cassius kids to the bone you are. It took more than our upbringing to get us here. Lots of people helped along the way. It's been a few days. Have there been any developments? Well, right after you left the capital, Captain Almalthea came from the intelligence division. She came knocking. She forced me to come to this banquet, but I kept my mouth shut about the Lyston Fortress. Professor Russell and the company, rather, are still on the run, too. The army hasn't found him yet. The longer we keep this up, the less chance they have. So, it's really only a matter of time. I asked Almalthea, if I could see Her Majesty and wish her well, but no luck. She flat out refused. In other words, we definitely aren't going to be able to do this the easy way. We sure aren't. But we don't have to worry because you've totally got that covered. We will get the professor's message to Her Majesty one way or the other. Okay. Which is great because I know that the queen, respects the professor. Is there anybody else that we should be like looking for? I was gonna say the actual mayor of the other place we went to is jailed, so I mean like that's kind of whatever. Can I buy thing? This is a place to talk. Please come right in. For drinks, we have anything you can think of, be it alcoholic or non-alcoholic. Okay, well, like let me can I pop a drink? Okay, I guess not. Oh, I thought I could like steal some from here. Alright, that's fine. No thievery. Nothing here. Okay, this place sucks. We'll go up the stairs instead. Okay, well, we got a whole little cutscene. Oh, this place is big. Oh wow, check that out. This must be the castle's grand terrace. I'd say so. You can see the whole lake from here, and it overshadows the whole town too. Must be great for reconnaissance. As nice as it is, we don't really have time to stop and enjoy it. We've got a job to do. Alright, well, let's go do our job, but also, we'll save. Oh, it feels like we haven't, like, saved in a minute, but, like, we have not done a lot of gameplay. Let me see. So, I can see my house from here. Well, you can. I wouldn't be surprised if they could maybe, like, see, like, maybe the forest or where their house is. Like, in the grand scheme of things, we're not super duper far, and the lake is right there. Oh. This is the royal keep. We're not supposed to be. Ooh, hey, look, it's the guys. Who are you? Hey, you too. Where is Guest of the Duke? Is this where Her Majesty lives? Of course it is. But for the last few days, she hasn't been feeling so well. She isn't seeing anyone right now. Oh, you've got it all wrong. We weren't even thinking of that. I just thought it would be amazing if she were to even take notice of us. Does Princess Claudia sleep here as well? No, it's just... Hey. The princess is focused on her looking after Her Majesty. Neither of them has time to deal with the likes of you. Might I inquire as to what's going on here? Could that be? Madame? We didn't know that you were back already. Middle-aged woman. The dinner party will be starting soon, so I'll be returning to the maids' quarters. And who are our guests? They're from that team that won the martial arts competition. It's because of that victory that some of the Bracers' social standings would even be invited here. Bracer's social standing? Such discourtesy! You would invite those who were personally invited to the royal castle? No, that's not what... Those invited by the Duke should be treated with respect due to those being invited by Her Majesty. I sincerely hope you have not forgotten that. Understood. Wow, she's intense. Wonder who she is. But ma'am, we can't just allow them to pass. Surely you understand the reasons the Colonel laid out. Yes, I'm quite tired of hearing them repeated to me. I'm terribly sorry, sir and madame. Security has been heightened, and as such, Royal Keep and its surroundings are off limits. If I may ask, would you mind waiting until your rooms until the dinner party? Alright. That's fine, we'll do as you ask. We apologize, we weren't trying to cause any trouble. Fine then, just don't let it happen again. She's got the evil eye on him right now. Safe return to you! I apologize that you were subjected to such dreadful behavior. My name is Hilda. Exclamation points? Hilda? I'm the head maid of the Grancel Castle and I oversee all housekeeping duties. Aha. We had a feeling. Yeah. Forgive my rudeness, but are we previously acquainted? Someone told us about you. Julia's letter to Hilda. I know this handwriting. You see it? We also have our bracer emblems and identification with us. I see. Please come with me to the maid's sitting room. We can discuss the matter further once you are there. Awesome. I understand. You need to deliver Professor Russell's message to Her Majesty, correct? Right. If now's not a good time, we can try later, but... No, that's not an issue. But those special ops men have the Royal Keep under constant surveillance for some time now. Only the Duke, the Colonel, and hired attendants such as myself are allowed in. Which means that a private audience is probably a no-go. What do you think, Estelle? We could ask Hilda to relay the professor's message for us. No, I'd rather speak to her face-to-face. There are too many particulars we don't know that we need to discuss directly. Oh, fair enough. Like what Duke Dunan and Colonel Richard are after. Estelle and Joshua, I have a bit of idea. Can I get you two to return here once the dinner party is over? Why? For some reason, I don't know why I expected her to look like actual, like Hilda from freaking Fire Emblem 3 Houses. They're not the same Hilda at all. She's not a maid. Have you thought of a way for us to see Her Majesty? I believe I have. It may be difficult, but it's worth a try. I'm going to need some time to get ready, so can you come back here after the dinner party? Awesome. Understood, we'll be back here. I'll be waiting. Food prep is done, so I think we'll be serving it shortly. For now, it's probably best if you wait in your room. Okay. You just want us to go back to our room? Which way is out? Which way is this? Oh, hello! We'll be ready for dinner very soon. I'm sorry for the wait. Okay, love you. No, I mean, shove you down is what I'll do. Dummy. Yeah, here, our room this is not our room. Wait, what are y'all doing? Aren't you, No, I don't know who this is. With so few people, we can't possibly finish all this work. All of the officials were sent away on vacation by the Duke and forcibly removed from the castle. Oh, that's not good. Took her. This is the administrative room. This is where most of the actual ruling of the liberal takes place. With Her Majesty ill, we're taking orders from the Duke. I'm sorry, my guy. This is the Intelligence Division office. Authorized personnel only. Keep your distance unless you're keen on getting arrested. Man, you know, I'm really fond of not getting arrested, so maybe I won't do that. Our rooms are this way. As soon as I saw the stairs, I was like, oh, we definitely went up the stairs to do the thing. One more there. Let me just double check, real quick. Dum 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 dum. Yeah, let's go. Alright, back in. My guy! Oh, hey guys, talk about being late. The party's about to start, you know? Yeah, I know, Zen. I know, we were busy reading a book. Sorry, we got so caught up in reading and sightseeing, that we lost track of time. Plus, we also talked to all the mayors. Huh. Well, aren't we connected? We actually did talk to all of them, rather. We're close friends with the mayor of Roland, plus we met the other mayors on our course of our travels, plus Mayor Maybell is hot. Ah, I see. Maybe I could get to know this Maybell. Classic Zen. I guess your work as bracers has caused you quite a few big shots. You two sure get around for junior bracers. Heh, well, you might say that. Have you done any bracer assignments since we came to Gransel? I guess it's not all that different in other countries, right? Right, for a full-fledged bracer's nationality isn't an issue when it comes to work. The prelim fights and legal procedures at the embassy kept me too busy to get any actual work done. But hey, there are 4 other bracers on duty too, which isn't so bad. Yeah, normally that would be enough for most cases, I imagine. But with all of them concentrated in Gransel, that must make it tough to handle any other regions. Ha, yeah, could be. I feel like a goose just walked over my grave. A goose just like, what kind of phrases, what saying is that? I've never heard that one, but I'm gonna start. I wonder what's going on with Shara back in Roland. Now that name rings a bell. You wouldn't happen to be talking about Sherazard, would you? You know her? You know her? She's our mentor and been a close friend of ours for ages. Oh, okay, that makes sense. I met her a long time ago when a case brought her to Calvard. She was fortunate to have a good master working with her for such a young age. Her master? You mean, probably Dad. You said dinner's ready? Please pardon me. The table for the dinner party has been set. May I show you the way? Yeah. Do you know the way? Sure, I was getting bored waiting anyhow. Alright, wanna go and eat fancy? Sure, that fight left me starving. Let's dig in. Poor Olivier. Come on, you two. It would be nice if you two didn't completely forget your table manners for once. Oh no, of course not. This is a dinner party, right? Where's the music? What's with all the empty plates then? Where's the dinner? Plenty of knives and forks though. Because it's a formal dinner. Everything comes out in a specific order, starting with the hors d'oeuvres. Then use the knives and the forks from the outside in. Oh! Joshua taught me something new. I ain't never been fancy before. You do it from the outside. Oh, I get the Joshua. He's smart. That kid's going places. And that's the part of having good table manners, and here comes the anxiety attack. Haha, it's not really so bad. Maybe that's great. It's not so bad. It does mean that you get to have some of the finest food available. Manners and etiquette are secondary. Indeed! I'm told that you're quite acquainted with everyone who will be attending. No need to get stressed out. Yeah, I guess that's true. Please don't encourage her. On that note, is the gentleman in company you going to be okay with the fork and a knife? I'm told that people from the east usually eat with chopsticks. Oh, you've done your research. However, I'm a firm believer of when in Liberal, do as the Liberalians do policy. Thank you, Zen. I am not skilled with them, but I will use a fork and a knife. My, how elegantly handled. That's my ship. I'm impressed. You're as much a gentleman as you are a martial arts champion. My ship. Haha, you flatter me. Boy, he really is a complete sucker for a pretty face. They're my ship. That's what I'm shipping. I think he's actually being more polite than a leech, though. Anyway, his grace is plenty, really late. No, give me more Zen and Maybell, action. I want them to continue talking. I wonder what he's up to. Indeed. If the seat at the head of the table is for the Duke, then who might the other one be for? Please don't be for the Colonel Richard. Indeed. Perhaps it is intended for Princess Claudia. Oh yeah. Butler Philip. Oh, maybe it's not for him. Your attention, ladies and gentlemen. My humblest apologies for the long delay. He always has this long delay. He's always late. Presenting His Grace, the Duke. Duke, please. Well, then I must apologize for making you wait so. I'm afraid that I was in a meeting from which I simply could not break away. The gentleman is Colonel Richard, commanding officer of the Royal Intelligence Division. I invited him here to thank him for his tireless efforts in helping to deal with the terrorist situation. It is a pleasure to meet you all. It was quite gratifying to be invited on this occasion by our honorable Duke. I ask that you pardon my uncouth soldier uniform and allow me to sit with you. No, thanks. Wait, Almalthea's here too? You've got to be kidding, we're having dinner with him? I suspected that might happen, but it's still unnerving. What if he poisons our food? We're eating tiny volcanoes? This must be dessert. Haha! Excellent, excellent! What say you, Mayor Maybell? What do you think of the Granso Castle's master chef? Is his cooking not on par with that found in Boss's Antero's restaurant? Yeah, it's quite remarkable. The wine selection is also perfectly complements the meal. I almost want to try hiring him anyway. Oh dang, we got juice. I'm looking all around, everyone's going, wine, 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 wine. I got fruit punch, what'd you get, Joshua? I got high C orange. And what are you using? Wasn't it? Is the food to your liking? Oh, it's excellent. I don't have the words to describe the sense of refinement and depth. I certainly believe I could develop a real taste for Liberlian cuisine, though. Good, good, I'm glad to hear it. And you young bracers? I imagine you've never experienced such fine food in your life before. It's extremely delicious, far more worthy of being associated with the royal family than the person who invited us here. It is indeed a genuine treat. It is certainly delicious food, and we couldn't miss a chance to attend so prestigious an event. Thank you very much for your gracious invitation. Haha, very kind of you to say so. I do remember what my butler has been telling me about. We met before during the Ruan incident. Perhaps our fates are linked in some bizarre fashion. Yes, sir, maybe so. He's forgotten all about us until the butler reminded him. Come, let us put our social classes and ranks aside for the evening. Food is abundant and the wine flows freely, so enjoy to your heart's content, except for you, young bracers. Your Grace? If we could, I'd like to do as we discussed first. Oh yes, that's a fine idea. Actually, I have something important to say to you fine folk who represent the kingdom. I use this celebration as a place to make an important announcement. An announcement? What might that be? I believe I will allow Colonel Richard to explain in detail. Thank you. Uh-oh. As you are no doubt already aware, Her Majesty has been in poor health as late. However, she has been recovering and may grace us with a public appearance soon. Well, that's excellent news. Could we possibly go and check in on her? Unfortunately, she does not consider that to be a wise decision at the moment. Within a few days, it seems likely that the terrorists plaguing the kingdom will be swept away. In light of that, the Queen's birthday celebration will be held as originally planned. Well, the citizens will surely be happy to hear this news, as they have been looking forward to it. But surely that is not all you wish to tell us. Right, if that were all, you could have just sent along a message. Ha, indeed you are correct. Her Majesty is continuing to recover, as previously stated. However, given the gravity of her condition, she has also issued a proclamation. Due to her tenuous health, she is resigning from queendom. She has stated that she wishes to abdicate the throne and turn over the royal authority to her nephew, Duke Dunan. Ooh, child, things are gonna get more difficult. Huh? Is that true? Joshua, this is... Yeah, the conspiracy is finally making its appearance. I was surprised when Her Majesty first broached the subject as well, but her illness has left her quite frail. But it is only natural. She has ruled the kingdom for 40 years, leading it through times of strife and war, and without a husband, might I add. Given that, I wish to relieve her of the stress in her duties, and following the festival's successful conclusion, as the heir to the throne, to make the decisions are mine to make, rather. How terrible. Her Majesty's condition is truly that severe. I'm ashamed that I've never noticed any signs in any of my annual visits. Isn't that far too serious a matter to discuss what is supposedly a casual dinner, rather? Pardon my rudeness, but this seems to stretch credulity. This seems real bad. Mayor Maybell, are you saying that you cannot take his grace at his word? No, nothing of the sort. I simply mean that as an elected official, I don't understand why the successor to the throne can't be elected in the same fashion. Oh my gosh. That's true. If possible, I'd like to hear this directly from Her Majesty. Your unease is quite understandable. But we do ask that you try and maintain your composure and allow us to continue. As mentioned earlier, I believe Her Majesty will give a formal announcement herself during the festival. They're gonna kill the Queen before the festival. Could you be persuaded to shelve your doubts until then? Well, the issue is basically this. Once this becomes common knowledge, we cannot know how the citizens will react. This is why telling the leaders first will help stave off any chaos or public disorder before it happens. This was also the decision of His Grace. Yes, well, this is true. Also, oh my gosh, you're letting him do all of the work. And you were becoming literally a figurehead, and the person who's making all the decisions is the bad guy. Do not. Goodness gracious. Also, the Queen's abdication of the throne will have international repercussions. The other nations on the continent will have their eyes on us, and we must be watchful for any actions on the part of the Erebonians. Surely you can see why it's necessary to show unified support for the new king. This is the world in which we are going to be living. It makes it all sound so rational. Yeah, he's quite the master manipulator, the puppet master. In other words, the official decree will be given during the birthday celebrations, but you thought it would be best to inform us first so that we can be prepared for any issues that may arise. Ha, yes, I'm glad you see that we have an understanding. Well, if all this comes to pass, we're going to find ourselves very busy. Yes, we'll have to announce it to the citizens. I have a question. I believe the Duke has a fair claim to the throne. However, is there not another who also has the same right of succession? Well, no doubt you're referring to Her Majesty's granddaughter, Princess Claudia. It is true that she and His Grace have an equal claim to the throne, but it will appear that Her Majesty did not choose her due to her tender age. And I must say I agree with her wisdom in this matter. I should hardly like to impose such responsibility on a girl so young. Yes, absolutely. For the time being, I believe it would be the best prospect for Claudia to find a fine marriage prospect. Though it is strictly informal, there is already an interest from the royal families of numerous nations, yes. Perhaps a royal wedding could take place as soon as this year, yes. Oh my. I understand. If that happens, we'll have to celebrate 2 major events. I honestly think she's a bit too young for marriage. Excuse me, may I ask a question? Zin? I don't mind, speak freely. Sorry to seem rude, but this doesn't seem like the kind of conversation you'd want outsiders hearing. Particularly a foreigner. So how come you're making this announcement now? That is solely because of the serendipitous turn of events that allowed the Bracers to win the championship. Oh, you son of a gun! You wanted to inform the guild of this in advance as well. I've already discussed the idea with Her Majesty. Oh, gotcha. I guess Liberal's military and Bracers are just on good of terms as stories say these days. Ha! That's because we lack the military strength of the Empire or the Republic. The harsh reality is that keeping close relations with each other is a must. No, usually we hate each other. In any event, do you now understand our intentions? Yeah, alright. We'll pass on what we've learned here to the guild then. Man, I've heard some pretty unbelievable conversations in my time, but that was something else. I mean, I'm a foreigner after all, so it's not that big of a deal for me. I bet that's huge news for you guys, though. Of course it was! I can't believe things have gone this far already! Huh? Never mind, we're in danger. But really, what a shame. The food was amazing, and it practically melted in the mouth. Couldn't really tell what that last flavor was, though. Was it, poison? Ha, understandable enough. You haven't tried enough poison in your day. Back in my days as an assassin, we had to try all the poisons. But anyway, did you want to go for a walk to work off some of that rich food, Estelle? Huh? Oh yeah, sure. I can go for a little bit of fresh air. You just played tourist a little while ago and now you want to go on an after-dinner walk? I sure don't get it, must be a local thing. Ha, I think you're exaggerating a little bit. You haven't gone on a walk to take in the sights? There's a lot of historic architecture around here, you know? If the mood hits me, I may give it a shot. On the other hand, the kitchen may still have some food left over. You gotta be kidding me, you're still hungry? If you had a blade, if you had a blade in my throat, rather my dying wish would be for some liquor and a snack. Hey, you know what, Zin? You can kind of miss me on the liquor. But I'll take a snack. I might go and hunt up a bar or something in a little bit. Okay, well. Oh, that's bad. Say your words, guys. Things have gotten serious. This is serious. We really have to find a way to get in to see Her Majesty. First things first, we have to go and talk to Maid Hilda just like we promised. She probably knows a way for us to speak directly to the Queen. Fine by me. Well, let's go talk to our homies first. How do you feel about all this? The Colonel's points are all very logical and very rational. I believe it would be best to the particulars from Her Majesty and Her Highness, the Princess directly. Yeah, I need to hear from them. Mayor Maybell. Hey, have you heard? It seems it was a banquet to remember, and now my mistress has yet another worry to wrinkle her brow. Hey, did you say your mistress? Ayo, Mayor Maybell? What a shock this banquet has been. Duke Dunan, as the official successor to the throne, if anything could bring on a migraine, it's that. Yeah, right, real talk. And you, my guy, Santa Claus. I can't believe the Queen's so worried she's considering abdication. And Princess Claudia, considering a husband at her age? Events are unfolding so quickly, I'd hardly have any time to react. Don't worry, we're gonna stop it. We're gonna put a stop to all of it. Alright, let's go this way. Oh, it's you! What? Uh-oh. Colonel Richard. What's up, guys? Ha, Estelle and Joshua. This is our first opportunity to truly speak face-to-face, I believe. The last time we saw one another was right after Mayor Dalmore's arrest, wasn't it? I'm honestly surprised you remember us. Joshua, I love him. Because he knows, and Colonel Richard knows. I realized that we exchanged a few words, but you made quite an impression on me. My curiosity was piqued, so I did a bit of checking up on you. I was quite surprised to learn that you were the children of Colonel Cassius. How'd you find that out? Haha, please understand that I'm not trying to show off as the intelligence division's capabilities. I'm greatly indebted to him from our time together in the army. Indeed, more than words can express. Might I persuade you to stay and talk a while? I've been hoping to speak with you two for quite some time. Huh? Pardon me, Colonel, but don't we have a meeting with His Grace? I don't mind being a bit late. Oh my gosh! Yes, if you're going to talk, if we're going to talk, why don't we use the lounge inside? I'll mix you up a couple of virgin cocktails, rather. I'll prepare them, sir! No, that won't be necessary. I want you to go to His Grace and inform him that I'll be delayed. Yes, sir! I want to murder the brats. Go. Pardon me, then. Now then, shall we retire to the lounge? Please follow me. Joshua, what should we do? I don't see much of a choice but to follow him. We'll be a little late, but we can talk to the head maid later. Uh-oh. I guess we'll chat. I met Cassius shortly after I graduated from the military academy. I was assigned to a mobile unit that was under his command, and since that time I found myself in his debt again and again, both personally and professionally. He did? And, what did you think of him at the time? To put it simply, he was a hero. A master swordsman to boot. No matter the scenario, he could find a way to handle any number of battlefronts in every direction. And it wasn't just a sheer tactics, he understood and could direct high-level strategy as well. Quite simply put, he was a man without peer. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that we were talking about two different people. So you were with our father during the 100 Days War? Yes, he was my CO. Even now, I can vividly remember the excitement that filled me as we executed his plan that would turn the war's tide. Anytime I get to talking about those days, time just runs away with me. But this much I can tell you. If Cassius Bright had not been a part of the Royal Army, Liberl would be a part of the Erebonian Empire. No way! That's kinda hard to believe. Well, as a hero, he had a knack for doing the unbelievable things. He left the army immediately after the war, declining even a medal from the Queen. So few know of his achievements. Wait, that's goated, actually. The queen was like, "You saved the whole kingdom, please come accept the medal." And Cassie was like, "Miss me with that, queen. I'm gonna go join the bracers." But inside the army, many soldiers still hold him up as a prime example of what a hero should be. He never said one word about any of this to me. Well, it's not really the kind of thing you tell your daughter about. It's not fair to criticize him for that. Hey, whose side are you on? Besides, why doesn't any of this shock you like it shocks me? Did you already know about all this or something? Well, I didn't know that he was Colonel Richard's superior officer. The rest I knew about vaguely. Vaguely? You're an accomplice! Hey now, calm down. It's not like he told me any of it, I just kind of figured out a lot of it. He told me he didn't feel that it was something worth going out of his way to tell others about. Grr, I don't get it. When he comes back, he's so in trouble. Haha. He'll never come back. Please excuse us, we didn't mean to interrupt. No, seeing you act like this is actually a bit of a relief. A bunch of children couldn't beat me or stop my plans. When I found out that your father was intending to leave the military, I tried desperately to stop him. But it seems that by leaving, he did what was best for him after all. After losing his dear wife, maybe being with you was all that could help him recover. Colonel Richard... Continue. Now then, I thank you for your time, for taking the time to come here. I really can't keep the Duke waiting, so I'm afraid you'll have to excuse me. Oh, alright. Our apologies for making you so late. Not at all. You both have told me the one thing I wanted to know most. Oh, I don't know. Oh, no. And thus I have no regrets. Huh? How's that again? Ha, I'm sure we'll have a chance to speak again soon. Cassie's might even be with us then to share in the stories. Ha. Uh-oh. Okay, who was that man and what has he done with Colonel Richard? What are you babbling about now? It's just so weird to hear him talk that way, talk about Dad that way. I wasn't expecting him to be so, well, nice. True, he doesn't seem all that villainous anyway. Even so, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he's got something up his sleeve. For now, we should probably put the issue of Dad aside. Yeah, I guess you're right. I hate to say it, but I think he might have just been playing nice so he could get something out of it. He's an intelligence officer, so he probably thinks fooling a couple of kids is as easy as could be. Don't you think that's going a little too far? You might be right, but let me be the one who's mistrustful of others. You should follow your instincts and believe what you think is right. Huh? But just make sure to be prepared for anything. Don't let your guard down. It's I'd say a bracer's job is pretty much that in fact. Okay, got it. Do be prepared for anything. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Estelle. Thank you all. What the heck are you thanking me for? Anyway, we need to go and see Hilda. She's probably sick of waiting for us. Yeah, she should be in the maid quarters. Alright, bet. Which one? No, the maid quarters are yonder. Let me save first. I'm trying to realize or remember which room, our boy is in. I think Murdoch is in this room? Yes. Estelle, Joshua! Have you met with Her Majesty? No. Thanks for all the concern, my guy. The maid quarters are none of these rooms. They are the room in the middle. Is it the middle center? Oh, hello, maids. Hello. This is just between you and me, but clearing up after the Duke's meals is revolting. It's hard to believe that he and the Queen and the Princess are all related. Colonel Richard is such an amazing man. Pearls before the swine that is Duke Dunon. What about you? Finished at last. Now to get my cleaning supplies, cleaned up and get going home. Home is where the lack of cleaning is. Facts. Now where did Shea and the Mistress Hilda get off to? Okay, what's down here? Oh. What is this? Maybe the vault? Hey, what's over here? This is a restricted area. Suspicious individuals can and will be arrested on the spot, so watch yourselves. Okay, well, I'm gonna go be not suspicious. It's a shame that there's nothing over there here. That's the intelligence division area. This is the administration room. Oh, it's the door over one of these two doors. I think it's... Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's the other one. Then is it... I was gonna say, is there a door there? No, it's just not connected, so we have to go through here specifically. There you are, I've been waiting for you. You're awfully late, aren't you? Sorry about that. We got caught by Colonel Richard. Did you now? He had some things to tell us about our dad. I don't think he has any idea what we're up to, though. I see. Ah, yes. The letter of introduction did mention that you were Mr. Cassius' children. I can understand that at least some of how Colonel Richard feels. Oh, do you know our dad, too? He used to come here when he worked as General Morgan's aide de camp. I was told, rather, that he was a school friend of the late princess, Her Majesty's son. Late prince? Claudia's father. Yes, he was killed 15 years ago in a tragic shipwreck. Would he still be alive today, none of this would be happening. Huh. 15 years ago. Was that really just a tragedy? I suppose so. Now they're making the most of a situation. But lamenting what might have been a fool's errand. Evening... What if all of a sudden he was really just lost at sea? He was found by Ereborians, and he's really Olivia. Evening is fast approaching. We must make preparations at once. Come in now, Shea. Oh, hey, aren't you Shea, right? Yes, thanks for remembering. Well, she just said your name. We didn't remember. No, we did. You look well, Estelle Joshua. I've been told of your current predicament. You won't find a more dependable child. She's a great help to us whenever the princess is in the castle. Princess Claudia. That shouldn't pose a problem, but thank you. If you're ready, you should go change into your uniforms. The ribbons and the headpiece are tricky, so I'll adjust them for you. Huh? What do you mean? Estelle's going to need to dress, one of you, need to dress as one of the maids. Estelle, rather, is going to dress as one of the maids, with a little playing with the hair. You'll blend right in. Oh, I get it. Uniforms don't allow for much in the way of personalization, rather. That should be ideal for sneaking in. Huh, me in a maid outfit. I've been waiting to try one on since we first met Lila. Cute, breezy, and easy to move in. Ha, well, if our uniforms weren't easy to move in, that'd make cleaning much more difficult. Thought so. Well, let's get the sucker on me. Why so excited? I'm glad you're in high spirits, but remember your manners in front of the queen. You won't have me to lean on this time. Why not? You're changing too, aren't you? Huh? Pardon? I mean, he did play the princess during the play at the campus festival. Is there really much of a difference between a fancy dress and a maid outfit? Oh no, Joshua, they're not gonna do it to you again, are they, my guy? That's different, it was a play. I can't appear before the queen in woman's clothing. Oh, you'll be fine, it's not shameful or anything. Besides, you made such a gorgeous princess. Not again, cut the jokes, will you? Hilda, Shea, help me out here, say something. Oh no. Anyone? I see, that shouldn't pose a problem. Shea, do you have that extra headpiece I designed for the princess? Yes, I do. It's never been used though. He has full dark hair. It would probably look good on him. Hey, hold on a second. Oh no, Joshua, no! Well, it feels like it's a 3-to-1 majority vote. Majority rules. This way, please come. You can use this as a changing room. Wait a minute, I don't ever remember agreeing to changing, but gets dragged. Save me! Alright, if I have to change, I can do it myself. Shay, you're not planning on using makeup too, are you? Kids these days! She sounds like Grandpa Evie. I'm delighted. Oh my. Ta-da! Heh, what do you think? Hee, it suits her very well. Such a bright, active maid in training, and only, after coming to the castle too. You certainly have me convinced, rather. And the one with the hair down just like that, no one will be the wiser. Perhaps you'd like to work at Gransil Castle for real once this is all settled. Well, we already work as bracers, so, anyway. Come on, Joshua, get out here! No chance I can talk you out of this? None at all. You're just making this take longer. Fine. You're impossible sometimes. They really did it to my man's Joshua again. Glimmer, glimmer, glamour, glamour. Yeah, he do be wearing it better than Estelle, though. It's almost frightening how good that looks. Isn't it awesome? Something awoke inside of Estelle that day. It looks better on him than it does on me, and I'm an actual girl. Ha, ha, ha. A bit of makeup can make all the difference in the world. Please, just say you're done. Well, I suppose so. I'll show you the way to the royal keep. You need to make certain that you watch me and learn how a maid handles herself. Yes, ma'am. Go. We're really gonna meet the queen in person. Yes, this is a do or die moment. We just have to stay focused and get to the royal keep. Snicker. It's hard to take you seriously in that outfit. Well, excuse me. This is your idea. I can't believe you've got the nerve to pick on... Sorry, don't get all mad. I'll treat you to some ice cream later, okay? Special ice cream? It's not like you, I'm not obsessed with food. Hey, I'm not obsessed with food. Ha! They get along so well, don't they? We're out of time. Let's get to the royal keep. Oh, dang. Wait, hold on. I was hoping we'd have, like, Hilda, like, a little Hilda portrait. Hey, Mayor Maybell. Madam Hilda, what a long time it's been. Why, Mayor, you look simply exhausted. Ho, ho, there's no hiding anything from you, Mayor. I'm sorry, ma'am. I have some, pressing business to finish before I leave for, Left Boss, rather, so I haven't really slept yet. That won't do it all. I'll have some incense sent to you right away. Good stuff that'll pad you out in no time. I believe we just got in on some from east a very short while ago. Thank you for your kindness. Hey, what's up? Hi, Lila. The exclamation voice. Hey, Zen, what's up? What's this? What magnificent architecture! What fantastic design! And the castle's not bad either. Miss, I think I'll have to request a room cleaning post-haste. Oh, no, Zen. Oh, a private visit from Mistress Hilda herself. A trainee maid inspection, is it alright then? And then, our guy. Madam Hilda, what brings you here at this hour? You don't recognize us? Let me see. All characters will have unique dialogue. I assume that just means, like, that, but, like, if I change the party's, like, order, I can't change the party's order, can I? Oh, maybe I can. Tactics? No, okay. I didn't think so. So it's just, she has to be in charge, that's fine. I was like, I can't switch to Estelle and just goof around, right? Let me talk to my guy. He's in here. Madam Hilda, you look well. As do you, Mr. Murdoch. Though busy as ever, it seems, yes, but it's hardly work when it all comes to the Citral factory is so full of bright minds. I'm glad to hear Her Majesty is on the mend. Indeed, I'm sure you'll be able to see her again soon. If there's anything you need in your room, please feel free to let me know. I'll bring it right away. Thank you, Hilda. Alright, well, that's all the people that we really need to talk to. The royal keep is this way. No, that's the audience chamber, okay. No, it's this way. Forward a whole bunch, and then up the stairs. Freaking Lila. She was like, what? Okay. I'm just taking a peek at everything else. Alright, we're good. Hilda, what business do you have here with Her Majesty at this hour? I'm bringing some tea and some spoons at her request. The current situation means that Her Majesty is dying to the right to even go about her daily life as wishes after all. Such harsh words. Who are these maids with you? I don't recognize them. His Grace ordered me to hire some additional staff to help. They've only just arrived at the castle today. Really now? Hey, you're pretty cute. Thank you. Not you, the other one. Bows. Huh? Why do I get the feeling we've met before? Crap. Do you stare so hard at every young lady you see? I do hope you're not thinking any untoward thoughts. I'd rather that His Grace and the Colonel, I'd rather think His Grace and the Colonel would disapprove. Hey, it's not like that. We're the elite of the Royal Army, we wouldn't do that. One of you literally just said, hey, you're pretty cute. All's well then. Now if you'll please allow us to pass. Pardon us, ladies. Please go ahead. Mistress Hilda's out here putting in work. Whew, that was intense. Thanks, Hilda, you're a real lifesaver. Yeah, that was really well done. I'm just glad I could help. Now then, are you planning to change your clothes before you see Her Majesty? If you'd prefer, I can show you the way now. I think I'm okay as is. Boy clothes now. That's really funny. Oh, for the love of, why are you always so self-conscious? What's wrong with that, what you had on? It's not an issue of self-consciousness. By the way, Hilda, is this the room I think it is? Yes, it's Princess Claudia's room. But she rarely sleeps in the castle, so the room is all but unused. No kidding, huh? But I heard the princess was tending to the queen. Uh-oh. I guess that's just gossip then. You'd have to ask Her Majesty on the full details. Her room is on the 2nd floor of the royal keep. I'll take you there. Cool. Almost loaded by accident. No, 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 don't overwrite. We never overwrite. Alright, here we go. Are there any clues in here? No? Nothing down there. I don't know why I expect this, like, hidden chest in the castle. I'm not gonna raid a castle. Here. I beg your pardon, Your Majesty. I brought the 2 I spoke of before. This is Estelle and Joshua. Thank you very kindly. By all means, enter. As you wish. Oh, you told us about... You told her about us? Okay. Or I guess you told her about us. No, I said that, right? You 2 go on in. Right. Pardon us. You're not gonna walk us in? Okay. Oh. Hehe, I bid you welcome. My name is Alicia von Alus. I'm the 27th monarch of the nation of Liberl. I'm Estelle Bright. I'm a junior bracer of the Bracers Guild, and I'm Joshua Bright of the same affiliation. It's a great honor to meet you, Your Majesty. Estelle and Joshua. I've truly been looking forward to meeting the both of you. I regret that I cannot offer you proper hospitality, but I have prepared some tea. Please have some of that and try to relax. We're having tea with the Queen. So, I see. So Professor Russell asked you to bring this information. A pitch-black orbment capable of negating all other orbital energies, and you say that the Colonel has acquired it. The Professor told us that you might have some idea what he intends to do with it, Your Majesty. Can you tell us anything? I have but a vague idea. I did not think that the Colonel would even knew of it, rather. Perhaps I am worrying about nothing, but even so. Excuse me, but what is the vague idea you have? I suppose there's no harm in telling you. Roughly 10 years ago, a massive orbital reaction was detected beneath Gransel. Professor Russell was the individual who came to investigate it. Huh? Did it happen in the vicinity of the sewers? No, far deeper underground than that, in fact. Professor Russell was under the impression that it might have been a relic of the ancients that is still function, rather. Wow, this was a decade ago? So it was a bona fide artifact then. Most artifacts I know of have lost their function, like the mechanisms on the top of the towers. But even now and again, you find one that still functions, like Mayor Dolmore's heirloom, family heirloom rather. And something like that is beneath Gransel? So what does that tell us about the gospel? Maybe, which is such a great name, by the way. Maybe it could be used to halt the artifact's functions? Could it do that? Yes. However, they were unable to establish the nature of the artifact, or indeed why it was buried beneath the city. But it is beyond my imaginings how the Colonel could know of its existence. Professor Russell, his research was kept strictly confidential and off the record. I see. In any event, it seems likely that the trouble is on the way. Honestly, just as I start thinking that maybe the Colonel might be a slightly nicer guy than we give him credit for, but when someone's trying to stir something up in trouble, that's when us bracers come in. We won't let him get away with whatever evil scheme he's planning. Maybe it's not an evil scheme. It's an evil scheme. They've been mind controlling people. Haha. I expect no less from Cassius's daughter. Huh. You're acquainted with our father as well, Your Majesty? He was a friend of my late son's and a great savior to the nation. Even after he retired from the army, he would sometimes undertake requests from me. Really? I didn't know that. I thought I knew everything. Ha. I imagine there are a great deal of things you don't know about him, including the precise role he played in the war 10 years ago. I assume you have not been told? Well, nothing super detailed. Perhaps then that is the role that I am meant to play. Estelle and Joshua, will you indulge me by listening to an old story? Oh yeah, stories from the Queen, let's go. It is no indulgence, Your Majesty. Okay. 10 years ago in the spring. A tragedy occurred in the southern reaches of the Ereborian Empire. It is yet unknown. Rather, its cause is yet unknown, so that is something I must omit. Okay, well, remember that 10 years ago. The Empire used that event as a pretext for their invasion of Liberl. So, began the sad times that would be known as the 100 Days War. Just as the Empire made its declaration of war, a massive military force breached the Hacken Gate. In what seemed to be scant moments, all over Liberl occupied territory save for Gransel. It is said that the invasion force was 3 times the size of the entire royal army. The reinforcements from Kalvard were too late to stop their advance, but it was a matter of time before Gransel too would fall. But 2 months after the outbreak of hostilities, the war changed in a way that none could have imagined. Patrol airships had just been developed and were being used to recapture checkpoints severing the Imperial Army's communications. The Royal Army then set about recapturing the major regions one by one using ships launched from the Leiston Fortress. Zeiss, Rouen, Boss, Roland. Long ago, the 4 nations lived under the Ereborian rule, but everything turned the tides when the airships attacked. With their supply lines severed, the Ereborian forces occupying each region were swiftly crushed. I know that guy. Oh, look, the guy behind him, I know him too. Wait, I know all 3 of these guys. That's Morgan, Cassius, and, Colonel Richard. And the one behind a plan for the counteroffensive was none other than the one Cassius Bright. It was your father, who was General Morgan's right-hand man at the time, as well as Colonel Richard's superior officer. Afterwards, with the intercession of the Bracers Guild and the Septian Church, the war was brought to an end. It was at this time that Cassius lost what he treasured the most in all of the world. His wife. Lena, your mother, Estelle. That clock tower was destroyed in the Imperial Army's vain attempts to hold back the counteroffensive. What followed, I'm sure you know. Cassius was not able to be by his wife's side in her final moments. Oh no. That's tragic. So she was alive, I guess, in the bed. No, I had no idea. And he believed that the military operation that he himself had planned effectively caused her death. That's really sad. That's actually really sad. Blaming himself, he left the military and took on the path of bracer's work. All to stay with the only one he had left, you. And this time he swore he would be able to protect those that he loved. Dad, that idiot. It wasn't his fault that Mom died. How could he even think that? Estelle. Yes, you are correct. Given that all that he lost in the service of the country, the responsibility falls upon me. And so I am sorry, Estelle. I failed to protect your mother. I have wished to apologize to you for a long time. But you don't need to apologize. You protected the peace for this country ever since the war ended. The peace that Dad and all the other soldiers who defended Liberl in the war, fought so hard to protect. And the peace that Mom gave her life for so I could live in it. Oh, man. Okay. Oh. Alright, so they're starting to dig deep into the feels now. That one kind of hit me in the heart. You have nothing to be sorry for. Estelle, you have a kind heart, and I am grateful. It gladdens my heart to have finally met you in person. Now more than ever. Your Majesty? However, that is why I do not wish for you to put yourself in danger. I would like for you to remove yourself from any dealings with this matter. What? But Julia, I mean, Lieutenant Schwartz asked us to help you. I thank you, and I am grateful for your willingness to do so, but if some tragedy were to befall you in Cassius's absence, I know no apology could ever suffice. Ooh. Yeah, I guess you're right. I only ask that you go back to your home in Roland and wait for your father to return. But, Your Majesty, if I may, the peace that Dad restored that you protect, though it is held firm, now trembles like a leaf in the breeze. Joshua, if the Colonel is able to use the gospel for whatever purpose he intends, and if he succeeds in making the Duke the new King of Liberl, then what will become of that peace? I ask only that you consider that. Your Majesty? Right when we became junior bracers, we inherited a whole lot from Dad. After the Sky Bandit incident, we got the letter and the package, and ever since then we've been running around all creation ever since. It feels to us like our dad's been nudging us in the back this whole time. That's why I want to defend peace, so that everyone we've met, everyone that we care about, can go on living secure and happy lives. Oh, man. Just like you, and just like Mom and Dad, I'm doing this because it's what I believe is right. I believe, and I really want to see it through, rather. Oh, Estelle. It seems she was right about you. Huh? I, too, am ready. I would like the two of you to carry my request to the Bracers Guild. Your Majesty! My liege, we will do whatever you ask. My request is for the Bracers Guild to rescue those being held captive by the Intelligence Division. Amongst them is my granddaughter, Claudia. Aha, so the princess is being held captive somewhere. So the princess is Chloe. At this point, I believe this is like a 2% chance that it's not Chloe. Yes. The coup d'etat started when I backed her as successor to the throne. In other words, Duke Dunan was out of the running. Yes, though he is my nephew, he has possessed considerable number of character flaws. In brief, where he is lacking, my granddaughter shines. For the sake of the nation's future, I would have my granddaughter succeed me. Well, I don't actually know her, but I personally lean towards the idea that your judgment should really be trusted here. No matter the era, there will always be those who object strongly to a woman wielding political power. Not to mention the memory of the invasion by a larger power is still relatively fresh. Some of them will perceive the succession of 2 consecutive queens to be a sign of weakness. It is hardly a surprise, hardly surprising that such a notion has taken root in the minds of some. Some including Colonel Richard, I presume. Quite right. Claudia's pending succession to the throne caught him quite unawares. Interesting. That, along with the passing of this information to the Duke, is what led to the coup. This is all being staged so that Liberl would become a strong military power with the Colonel ruling from the shadows, correct? I see. That finally lets us see the whole picture. I mean, we kind of had that idea from the get-go. The only thing is that they've essentially kidnapped the granddaughter, so that's why they can pull these strings on the queen. So if Liberl became a militarized country, what happened then? a great many things. Taxes would be levied to fill the war chest. Horrible weaponry could be developed with the express intent of causing havoc on a massive scale. A wide-ranging political policy of conscription would be adopted, and no doubt contracting Jägerkorps would be made legal. Uh-oh. Which is not the case at present. Uh-oh. Oh no, I read a book about that today in Jägerkorps. Indeed, the Colonel has made very adamant requests that I enact such policies. I thought that such proposals were born out of genuine love for his country, but I never agreed to that, that they were the right course of action to take. The Royal Army is not all that protects this land. We have worked hard to maintain treaties with other countries. Defending a nation goes hand in hand with free cultural exchange and trade with other nations to benefit all. I feel the same way, Your Majesty. Yeah, that makes sense to me. The Colonel, however, finds such notions to be womanly and foolishly idealistic. Oh my gosh. So he demanded that I abdicate the throne in exchange for Claudia's safe return. Many people have had family members taken to ensure that they dare not oppose the Colonel. Oh my gosh. But I am the Queen, and I will not allow all that I love about my country be destroyed simply because of blood ties. She is my only granddaughter. I cannot simply allow her to die. Your Majesty, please try to relax. We will hear and comply with your request. We will see to it that the princess is rescued from those who have imprisoned her. Thank you, both of you. With that reassurance, I will now do all that I can to oppose the Colonel's demands. Have you any other requests, Your Majesty? The gospel still has to be dealt with, and I don't think we should just leave you here. I appreciate your sentiment, Estelle. But the present state of affairs is not contingent upon my freedom or imprisonment. The gospel shall continue to weigh heavily on my mind for a great many reasons. For my part, I will attempt to ascertain the Colonel's true intentions with it. Cool. Oh, we're women again. Wow, what a totally awesome person. Super nice, but with a strong, strong will. I hope I'm even 1/10 as cool when I get old. Cool. Did you actually just call the Queen that? Cool? Not dignified? Still, she is cool. Yeah, totally cool. I really want to stop this whole coup thingy and help her. Definitely outside of the Bracer jurisdiction, but the first things first, we do whatever we can. Right. But you know, I'm still freaking out about what the Queen told us about Dad. I wonder if she's got any more tidbits she's willing to share. Estelle and Joshua, have you finished your changing? Oh, yeah. And we should return to the waiting room at once. It's already after 11 o'clock. Actually, it's almost midnight. Whoa, it's really that late? The Queen spoke with us for a long time. If we stay any longer, it's apt to make the guard suspicious. So, I believe we actually can talk to the Queen again. Right? Yeah, before leaving the keep rather, she's moved to the back balcony. So not in here, but here. Sup, Queenie? Well now, I was wondering how Hilda managed to get you two in here. Uh-oh. Now I see. These outfits were a marvelous idea. You both look quite convincing. Estelle, Joshua, I haven't had such a wonderful day in a very long time. You must come again for tea. I'd like it if Claudia and Cassius could join us next time. We could all have a nice chat together. I like the Queen a lot. She's pretty neat. Alright, let's get out of here. Surely nothing bad will happen. Are you going home for the day, Miss Hilda? Yes, I believe so. Just be sure not to do Her Majesty any further discourtesy. That's not fair. But please, relax. We are patriots to the core. That's good to hear. Now, I believe we shall be on our way. Pardon me. By your leave. By the way, ladies. Huh? I don't think we ever got your names. May we ask them? I'm Dorothy. That's a very modern name. Pardon my saying so, but it doesn't sound right for you. Ain't that the truth? What about you, miss? You may call me Karen. Karen, you say? That's a very pretty name. You're too kind, sir. I'm rather fond of it myself. Are you now? Oh, right. We're with the Special Ops. My name is... I think that's just about enough. I wanted to know their names. Maybe we could have gone out for tea. I sense an ulterior motive here at work. No, I mean, at least not from us. Please, be safe on your way home. Hello, Hilda, you need something else? We're keeping a watch over your majesty, nothing to worry about. Okay. I just wanted to chat up the boys some more. Ridiculous. Wait, how do I get out of here? Oh, the stairs are over here. I was like, where am I? Thank you. Well, aren't you Mr. Popularity? It was, I did used to call one of my friends, Dr. Popular. I still do sometimes. It was, like their eyes all changed when you told them your name. Hey, it was not. I didn't see you shying away from joining the conversation. Yeah, sure, but that doesn't mean I wasn't nervous. I kinda lost all my confidence there. Eh? Hick, what's all this noise about? Uh-oh. Oh, I'm just glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that it wasn't also, the intelligence division boy coming out here, Colonel Richard. Oh, Duke Dunan. So, lady of the court. Hey, you maids. You don't look familiar. These are the two of the new hires, so I'm instructing. This is Dorothy, and that's Karn. Philip's gonna recognize us. Hopefully Philip is actually a pretty decent lad. And hates everything that's going on here. They're still quite inexperienced, so I'm giving them some extra training time. Huh? Huh? Did he recognize us? Not good. Given how many times we've run into him, it'd be bizarre if he didn't recognize us. Come now, Philip, enough with the staring. It's quite unusual to see from you, stiff upper lip and all. But please, pardon my rudeness. You look much like my niece. My eyes were playing tricks on me, it seems. I'm dreadfully sorry for the discourtesy. Oh, it's no bother. Please don't concern yourself. You know, now that I stop and look at you, I must say you both look quite lovely. You with the brown hair, you with the very clean and healthy looking, yeah, to you. Ugh. As for you, I personally think that you'd look best with the raven hair of yours even longer. I'm honored. Ah, yes. Dorothy, was it? You shall attend to me this evening. Your Grace? Ew, I don't want to serve him tea. I don't think tea is what he wants served. Your Grace, your flirtations, while flattering, are best saved for another time and place. All the maids in this castle work directly in service to Her Majesty Queen Alicia. I trust you are not forgotten? I know, some folks simply can't appreciate a joke. The castle will be mine in a week's time anyway. We can set aside time for fun then. She's like, oh man, if this plan goes through, I'm quitting. Your Grace, please no more of this. I do not mind when you drink excess, but when you... but you know how your libido gets in such instances. I say this knowing full well that I may be reprimanded for... But I said I was just joking. Enough, I'm going to bed. As you wish, Your Grace. Your room is right over there. Whoa, oh right, Dorothy? You just let me know if you have any problems, anything at all. I'll give you the best advice a future king can give. Thank you very much. Cute. Yes, good. Thank you, please. Please. I hope Philip's like, Estelle, Joshua, I'm so sorry. I apologize unreservedly for all of the fuss. His Grace will likely remember nothing of this come the morn. Please set your minds at ease. I certainly hope so. I am truly sorry. Madame and young missus, I beg your pardon, but I must take my leave. Did he really not notice us? I feel so bad for him. Every time I see him, I'm like, poor guy. He truly seems to bear the weight of the world on his shoulders. Oh, do you know Philip personally? Yes, ever since we were children. Oh! Though, not nearly as well as we once did, thanks to the one he serves. I see. He sure seems like he's nervous all the time, doesn't he? I bet that everything between the Duke and the Colonel has him completely on edge. Yeah, probably. By the way, what was that you were saying earlier about me being the popular one? The Duke certainly seems awfully fond of you. Please, I like to keep my food in my stomach, thank you. Oh, right. But back to before, I feel like I'm missing something. Why would the Duke want tea so late? Well, you see, Estelle, allow me to elucidate the matter of tea and why gentlemen should never request it in polite company. Huh? Come closer. He was trying to be down to clown. Now do you understand? Yeah. Hopeless, completely hopeless. Thanks for everything, both of you. If not for you, I don't know what we would have done. Please, it was the least we could do in Her Majesty's service. I only ask that you complete the request she made of you. I feel the same way. I beg of you, do anything in your power to save the princess. Oh, are you one of her royal retainers? Yes, I regret that I rarely get the chance to serve her directly. She's so kind and open, she treats me more like a friend than a servant. Thought of her being held captive keeps me up at night. I understand. Well, you can rest easy now that we're on the job. We'll save her. Shall we be going? Yeah, we've yet to fail a mission yet. Granted, we usually have more help than this. Oh my gosh. What might I acquire you doing out this late at this hour? Please don't be Almalthea. That looks like Almalthea. We should have had Hilda escort us. Captain Almalthea. Hee, good evening. I realize that you've been invited here, but I don't think, but don't think for a bit, don't you think rather it's a bit late for kids to be out walking around? Please pardon us. We've simply never been to a castle like this and we couldn't resist the urge to have a look around. Oh, that's certainly understandable. So where were you? Half an hour ago? Please enlighten me if only for my edification. The maid's quarters. Aha, I admire your honesty. Let's not waste time on games. I did, in fact, receive several reports of you going in and out of the maid's quarters. Do you think it's a bit odd to be looking around in that particular place? What? Don't you think questioning someone like that is... when you already have the facts is a little cruel? Wait, don't be like, hey, we did, in fact, yeah, I told you the truth, so you can't be, yeah, what? We got nothing to... We like maids. Huh, I'll take that as a compliment. So, what business do you have in the maid's quarters? I suggest you answer honestly. Well, Oh, Estelle Joshua! You've been here the whole time? That sounds like Zen. Zen? You need me to beat up some oh, he's drunk. Well, now that's the stuff. You're drunk. Oh, sorry. Hey, my favorite gorgeous officer lady. Some luck we end up meeting up again, huh? I suppose. So, what's going on? Are my students here causing any trouble? Students? It's not... It's just that they were in the maid's quarters for a while. I merely wanted to know their business as a simple security precaution. Yeah, I totally get you. I sent them off to find some munchies to give my guys in. I love them to bits. Hey, Joshua, you kids find anything to eat? No, the cooks aren't back yet, I guess. We went to ask the maids if there was anything we could get on our hands on, but no luck. Oh well, I guess I'll have to deal with that, I guess. Hey, I just had a great idea. You want to come and join me for a drink? I mean, hey, nothing goes with drinks like a beautiful lady. I'm afraid I'm busy, so I'll have to decline your generous offer. My apologies for the misunderstanding, but I would advise you return your rooms and remain for the rest of the night. I have to investigate any suspicious activity, you understand? Of course. It is late, we should probably just go to bed. Ha, very good then. Now if you'll excuse us. Hey Zen, I don't know if you're actually, you can't be actually this drunk. You must be a lad. Denied. Oh well, might as well go back to the room. Right, we'll go with you. No, he was just wasted, my guy. Looks like we managed to convince her at least. Oh, Zen, thank you. I was hoping you weren't actually drunk. What? Zen, aren't you drunk? I was acting drunk. I thought so. I haven't actually had a drop. No way, your face had gone all red while I was around a pretty woman. He focused on making his blood circulate better, which made it look like he was intoxicated. It's done with some Eastern martial arts breathing exercise, right? I'm impressed you're familiar with it. But hey, you seem to be in a tight spot, so I figured I'd distract everybody. Nice, huh? Saved your bacon, as the saying goes. That's my guy. You are an evil, evil man, Zen. Okay, sure, you did help us out, but you also surprised the hell out of me. Sorry about that. So, what's the story? What story? I would have thought it'd be obvious. The story of you meeting the queen. What? How much do you know? I guess he is a bracer. Well, wait, what? How did you... Did Elnon tell you something about this? Actually, I couldn't get him to tell me. But I know now anyway, don't I? Well met. Without prior knowledge, there's no way you could have just guessed. So how much do you really know? Haha. I guess it's finally time to show you this. Okay. Zen produced a letter from his pocket and showed it to Estelle and Joshua. What is this? I know this handwriting. Well, don't just stand there, read it. Is it Cassius's? It'll explain a lot. Okay. Dear Zen, I hope this letter finds you well. I know I've been out of touch. I'm in a hurry, so I hope you'll pardon my bluntness. My work concerning the Jaegers is leading me to the Imperial territory. However, due to the fact that unusual forces seem to be influencing matters inside of Liberl, I feel rather uneasy being absent for so long, yep. That's why I must ask a big favor of you. Could I persuade you to come to Liberl and help out if they need it? Since you haven't been to Liberl before, perhaps you could think of this as a bit of a recreational trip. There's a martial arts competition before the Queen's birthday celebration and foreigners can participate. It would make for fine camouflage. I realize this is sudden, but if you can do it, I would be most grateful. I'm intending on returning to Liberl before the festival, so hopefully we'll be able to have a drink together when I return. Cassius Bright. Cassius is the whole reason you're here. Oh man, it's too sweet. P.S. You may have the chance to meet my son and daughter. They're currently apprentices for the guild, so if you happen to meet them, feel free to test the extent of their training. Try not to bail them out too much unless it seems like they really need it. And you know what? They really needed it. And you know what? He has not bailed us out really until we've really needed it. And I think that was really only 2 occasions? Maybe 3 occasions. Once when we were saving Dorothy? No, I think we were fine then. I think it's when we were escorting, the poison agate back. Once when we were saving the sister, quote unquote, from when they were collecting the herbs, and then one time just now. So Dad actually asked you to come to Liberl, which means he's in Erebonia now. That's the long and short of it. The long and short of it? What it means is that you were in cahoots with him all along. That's kind of a nasty way to put it, don't you think? I owed Master Cassius a favor from the time he spent in Calvard. This letter just gave me the chance to make us square again. I suppose. When did you realize that we were his kids? I had a feeling from the onset when I saw Estelle's techniques with the bow staff. I asked Kilika about it and that confirmed it. It would have been nice if you had said something about it at all. We've been worried sick about where he's been. I know, I'm sorry I haven't said anything. But I got the impression from the letter that he was trying to keep his whereabouts a secret. Still, you're definitely his kids, alright, if you can pull off a job as sneaking, as big as sneaking an audience with the Queen, right? I suppose so. He knows this much, it wouldn't hurt to tell him everything, right? I agree, it'd be probably best to fill in on everything. Y'all should have told him a bit. It's a bit far-fetched to say that we could put the whole, a whole end to this situation on our own after all, right? So, we gotta go rescue the princess? I see. I thought something seemed a little off when everyone was talking at the party. Alright then, I'll help you out with that little request. What, you will? Yeah, I think it's the the ideal opportunity to settle my debt with Master Cassius. Fair enough. Yeah, please let me help. We'd be glad to. Thank you once again. Thanks then. Ooh! This must be the thing that's way, way down. What is this place? I never would imagine something like this even existed. Some sort of ancient ruins? Ha! It's larger than I expected. Lieutenant Lawrence, if you'd be so kind as to show us the way to the lowest level. Yes, sir. Oh my gosh! Whoa! Is that some sort of mechanical monster? Well, these must be the archaisms. Are we gonna have to deal with them? Holy shit! He took out that thing in one stroke. Ah, you were the quickest to react. You are indeed a true force to be reckoned with when you don't hold back. You flatter me, sir. Your quick draw technique as well was quite remarkable to behold. I can see that you've studied under the Divine Blade himself. I'm humbled. They call Cassius the Divine Blade, which is wild. Haha, I still have a long ways to go before I can really humble anyone, I'm afraid. But time waits for no man. The skills I possess now will have to be enough. My strength may be meager, but I forged this kingdom's future with my own 2 hands. My brave men, the way to ultimate power is open. A bright new dawn approaches for our beloved Liberl. I expect only the best out of each of you. By your order, sir! We of the Special Ops will work as one for the Colonel. For the glory of Liberl! For the glory of Liberl! I don't like that. Hey, but I do like the slumber music. Ho, ho, ho. I understand the situation. You've both performed admirably. I'm amazed that you were able to deliver the professor's message to Her Majesty in person. Ah yeah, we just got lucky is all. The real question is how much longer is luck going to be on our side? Yeah, we're really gonna have to stay focused rather. If you understand already, then there's nothing more than I need to tell you. In any case, we can consider Professor Russell's request to be fulfilled. Please accept this as compensation for a job well done. What did you give me? Oh, okay, I guess that's pretty good. 20 grand. Okay, Junior Bracer First Class. So yeah, that's bad. We're number 1. Gladiator's belt. Well, now then, Zen. It was pure providence rather that Cassius Bright invited you here. We needed the help of an A-ranked bracer like yourself. No need to even ask. Even if I didn't have a debt to pay Cassius, I couldn't stand by idly in a situation like this rather. I'm willing to stand with you until the very end. I knew we could count on you, Zen. By the way, what's an A-rank? What's this A-rank business rather? It's a rank that signifies a full-fledged bracer's power. There are 7 ranks ranging from G to the bottom and A at the very top. So here's the highest rank you can get? Wow, I didn't know I never knew you were such a badass then. Huh. Well, I may be an A-ranked bracer, but I'm still an underling, so to speak. There are 20 A-rankers across the country. But above that, there's an informal S rank. The only one, that one's rather only granted to bracers who successfully resolve issues on a national scale. So is there a chance that we just jump from junior bracer to S rankers? And there are only 4 of those on the entire continent. Well, I'm not sure I even want to think about what they can do. One of them's Cassius. You really don't know any of this stuff, do you? One of the 4 is Master Cassius. What? Okay, Joshua, you're not going to tell me that you knew about this already, right? Sorry, but yeah, I did. He solved a major case for the Republic about 5 years ago. I swear, it's hardly worth even getting upset over anymore. Royal Army Soldier, the Hidden Hero, Divine Blade, S-Rank Bracer. If he's really so damned awesome, then it would sure be nice if he'd come back and take care of this case. You may be right? If he were with us, perhaps we would have never escalated to the point where a coup d'etat was even possible. Joshua, what's wrong? Just thinking about how strange this is. The whole chain of events apparently started with Dad going off on his trip. It's as if whoever planned the coup was waiting for him to be gone. At least it's the impression that I have, rather. Oh. You're saying... so what you're saying is that the coup was planned around his departure for the Empire. Yeah. Am I correct? No, I'm sure that would be overthinking things. I can't think of anyone who could possibly manipulate Dad like that without him noticing he was being used. They'd have to know. Well, I think that they did manipulate him, but it's something that he physically probably had to do. And then when we circle back around, he probably encouraged you guys to do that to kind of throw a wrench into whoever's plans and slow them down. Because he's the S-ranker. So they'd have to know him and his behavior patterns exceptionally well to be able to pull it off. Colonel Richards? Colonel Ricky Bobby? Well, yeah. I never knew what he was up to, even though he was so close. I don't even think Colonel Richard could have pulled off the wool over his eyes. Okay, fair enough. More likely, it's just two events that happen to overlap with each other. I don't believe that. Regardless of circumstances, we cannot currently rely on Cassius to help. Therefore, I am resolved to prepare for the worst. I believe an emergency conference of the Grancel branch of the Bracers Guild is called for. Huh? All other things being equal, we have a request that comes directly from Her Majesty the Queen. The third article of the Bracers Code states that we shall never act in a fashion that interferes with the government. We cannot ignore Her Majesty's request, however, so we must act. There are no match, but we are no match for the Royal Army as we are. I ask cooperation for all of the Bracers in Grancel, including Zin, of course. Okay. If we come in contact with conflict with the Intelligence Division, we'll need all the help we can get. Ideally, we should have the cooperation of the other branches, but the checkpoints have been completely sealed off as to— oh my gosh! They knew! Ostensibly, to foil any potential terrorist attack. What? So basically it amounts to martial law. So the enemy is finally moving at full tilt. This may be to stifle any activity on the part of Royal Guardsmen in hiding, as well as ourselves. If we're going to conduct a rescue operation, we'll need to deal with the resources on hand. Oh, fun. But we're up to it. So, do you have a solid idea of where the prisoners are being held? It's been on my mind for a while now, actually. I believe the most likely place is probably the Herb Royal Villa. Hidden in essentially plain sight, duh. Guarded by a ton of royal people, oh my gosh, duh. That's the building in the forest, right? That would make sense. If the soldiers are using it under the pretense of counterterrorism, few would question it. I can't imagine they'd want to lock a lady of the royal family in a cell in the Leiston Fortress, considering it's where the army— it's the army we're going to— it's the army we're going to be against here. I'd like to build a solid confirmation, though. If we assaulted the wrong place, we'd have hell to pay for it. Yes, precisely. But in either case, we must assemble any Bracers currently in the royal city. Could I ask you to assemble them for me? Any information you could gather while doing so would be much appreciated. If I'm not mistaken, Estelle, you and your friends are already acquainted with a reporter, right? Oh, you mean Niall? Yeah, we should see if he picked anything up significant. Also, we must attempt to enlist the aids of a royal guardsman, who are in hiding. If you can get them to contact me, it would be greatly appreciated. So in other words, we gotta do a fetch quest. Or Sister Julia. She helped us with the invitation before, so we should let her know what's going on. So off to the cathedral then? There are 4 Bracers in the city. Kurt Angle, Grant, Karna, and Annalise. Check the bars and their usual hangouts. They may also be in the hotel. Kurt seems to be in the hotel a lot, I think. If you see them, please instruct him to come back here. Sure thing. Alright then, off we go. Alright, well, we'll be saving, and at this point, we're probably good for an episode, but I do want to go turn in our Carnelia. Yeah, let's go turn in our Carnelia. Joshua doesn't participate in the Lawrence fight? What? Oh, honey. Alright, well, first things first, let's go do the thing. Let's go turn in all these books. We read them all today, so let's turn them in. He's in here? Is you? Hey. You guys wouldn't have to have the complete collection of Carnelia, would you? Wow, you do? I'd always meant to buy every single volume when it came out, but never got around to it. I was like, I can always read the whole series when it's finished, right? And now, it's pretty much impossible to find the whole set for sale in one piece, so I beg you please. Are you willing to part with your collection of tomes? Yeah, why not? Really? Oh my god, thank you so much. I work in diplomatic relations, and just got back from assignment from the Far East. I built up a pretty impressive collection of Eastern goods. Let you have one of my rare items in exchange for what I seek. Your bracers? I have something that might catch your eye. It's between these two, which one intrigues you more? The Mystic Staff or the Twin Plowers? Sure, Estelle. Go for it. Ooh, this one is nice. Can I have both? Oh, it is very nice. It suits you. I've got a notification to close the shop early, so I have lots of time to read. That's actually really funny. Can I buy? No. There we go. Let's see what that does for you. Estelle's ultimate weapon. So right now, that is a rather large jump, isn't it? Yeah, that's another 40. And it gives you the plus range of 1, which is nice. Well, I guess they all do. Still, thank you, Mystic Staff. Look at that, she's doing 307. That is leagues above anybody else now. She is, shockingly enough, our damage dealer. We gave away our Carnelias. I think that's good. We got a lot of plot. And really, so like, this episode was really like an hour and a half, but there's gonna be another hour and 20 tacked onto it. I digress. Joshua dressed up as a lady again. How many more times will that happen in this series? I'd guess 3. Toodaloo Flight Crew. Until next time, which means... Seems like next time we're gonna be like... I think in between episodes I might go and like get some stuff. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. The second, so there seems to be like 3 fights at the end of this, and I feel like we might be doing some of it next time. And all I read is the second for the 3 fights, for Team 2 features an enemy who doesn't attack and has significantly less HP than the other enemies. Do not kill him, as tempting as it may be, for Philip's sake if nothing else. Oh man, I think I know where that's going. And I don't know if you'll be able to stop me. Toodaloo, Flight Crew! Thanks for watching.